A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, Easy Aces.
Complicated real estate deals, which both Mr. Jane and Mr. Race were trying to close unbeknownst to each other, came to a climax when the wealthy Mr. Everett bought Mr. Race's property because he thought Jane was showing such admirable wifely devotion. The papers were signed, and Mr. Race got his check before Jane arrived with her client, Mr. Neff. The scene now takes place late that evening, and we find Jane, Mr. Race, and their friend Marge in the Ace's bungalow. Listen.
So you see, Mars, the old man thought she was trying to plug my property. All the while, she was actually trying to make a sale for this Mr. Neff, who promised her $500 if she could sell his plot of ground to old man Everett. Why, this Neff guy actually gave her an advance of $250 because Jane told him Mr. Everett had told her he was going to buy Neff's lot. Actually, what the old man was thinking was that here was a nice, loyal wife who fought her husband's battles, and the two of us deserved the break. And there you have the whole thing.
Well, of all the weird stories I ever heard.
Where is it?
If you two don't get into the most gruesome complications simply because you've got so many secrets from each other.
You know why I didn't tell her about this deal. She manages to crab so many things I start.
Well, you can't say she crabbed this one.
Well, it was just luck she didn't. If it hadn't been for the old man's misunderstanding what she was talking about.
That's the part I can't get through my head. How Jane could carry on a big deal like this one and not mention names. How could she do that?
Search me. Ask her. Look at her. The mastermind.
Jane? Jane!
What?
There's something I want to ask you.
Oh, don't follow me, Marge. I'm trying to figure something out.
What now?
It's behind me how Mr. Everett and I could keep talking about this lot and not know who we were talking about.
We're all wondering that.
It's behind you, is it?
Yes, how could Mr. Everett and I
Listen,
keep
Jane,
talking?
it's behind all of us now, and I'm trying to imagine it was all a bad dream. When I think how close I came to not putting this over, it ages me 5 years. If I'd have gotten there ahead of you, and the old man had actually bought you Mr. Neff's ground.
Oh, how could he? He had the papers all drawn up for your property.
Yes, but I might have crabbed the whole thing. I'd rather just not think about it.
Well, now that it's over, nobody can be hurt. I'd like to think about it. As I understand it, you made yourself quite a chunk of money you didn't expect.
Yes, you see, my client was only asking $60,000 for his property. Neff wanted $70,000 for his. Well, when Jane was talking price to the old man, she said $70,000, and he agreed.
Well, hadn't you talked price with him?
No, I started to a couple of times, but he kept saying the price was okay. Well, I just figured he had the property appraised, and he knew what he was asking. And a man in his position knows just what's going on everywhere in town. Well, when he handed me the check for $70,000, well...
Is that the first inkling you had that something was wrong?
Well, it was just at that minute that Jane crashed in with Mr. Neff. And when she opened up, as only she can, and I saw this deal of mine go crashing about me, well, I could have walked under a rug with a high silk hat and raised an umbrella. Yes, and on my toes, too.
And then what happened?
I don't know. I was a little unconscious all through it. There were some words between Jane and old man Everett. She wanted to know what he meant by buying my property.
Well, I didn't want Mr. Neff to think it was my fault.
Oh, you didn't?
No. I'll bet he thinks I'm a fine one.
Well, isn't that too bad, what he thinks? I guess you'd rather have him think you were all right rather than see me put through this deal.
No, I'm glad you made the money, dear.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome, dear. Only you got me mad when Mr. Everett kept saying I didn't say anything about Mr. Neff.
Well, did you say anything about Mr. Neff?
Well, I didn't say Mr. Neff. I kept saying I had a friend with a lot for sale.
Yes, that was another high spot of that nightmare. Mr. Everett's reply to that was that he thought she meant me, and Jane said, Mr. Ace, why, he's no friend of mine.
Oh, I didn't do any such thing.
You didn't say he's no friend of mine?
Well, yes, maybe I did, but I didn't say, Mr. Ace, he's no friend of mine like that. I don't talk like that.
Oh, you don't. You ought to get a load of yourself. I wish I had a record made of that invigorating little scene in the old man's office, and you should have got a load of Mr. Neff when he found out I was in the real estate business.
I can imagine. I'll bet he burst a blood vessel.
Oh, practically. He kept shouting, I see it all now. Why, he accused Jane of stalling him so that he wouldn't be able to get his property into the competition and in that way leave a clear field for me. Yeah.
He thought Jane had double-crossed him?
I guess so. Imagine accusing her of having that much business acumen.
Yes, imagine him thinking that
The old man actually thought Jane was sharp enough to put over a big deal like that?
Yes, imagine him
Yes, he
thinking...
probably thought he was up against a mastermind.
Yes, imagine him thinking
Think that he'd accuse our Jane of having enough sense to pull anything that clever.
Yes, imagine. What did you say? Now, listen
Oh,
here.
now, Jane, I was
Well,
always...
who do you two think you are? I guess you're forgetting about the extra $10,000 we made on account of me.
That's right. You have to give her credit for that.
Well, I still say it was just luck. She didn't know what she was doing.
I didn't know what I was doing. Didn't you hear me ask him for $70,000?
No.
What?
I did not hear you ask him for anything. I didn't even know you were going there selling anything.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, I did ask him for $70,000. How do you think he gave you that check for that much if I did?
Oh, there's no argument there, Ace. You've got to give in on that point.
Yes, but she was asking it for Neff's lot. She was going to make only $500 out of the deal.
That's another thing I'm worried about.
What?
The $250 he gave me, I don't want it, and he won't take it back.
He won't take it back?
No.
Well, what kind of a man is that?
That's right. He kept shouting he was double-crossed and that we'd hear from him, and I tried to give him my check for the $250 because Jane had paid hers down for a fur coat.
And you did? And he won't take the $250 back. I wonder why.
Oh, he's just excited. He will when he cools off. And glad to get it. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm too jubilant about this extra $10,000 I made. And the $3,000 commission. That's the biggest deal I put over since I've been in business. I mean, in one lump sum.
Well, that's the way it goes. You struggle along for years on your own, never realizing the business brains around your home waste their time getting dinners.
Now, Marge, don't start that.
Oh, jealous, huh?
I'm not jealous. I'm just thankful it's over. I don't want to think about it anymore. I've been lying awake nights for 3 weeks trying to figure out a way to put this over, and now that it's over, I want to relax and take it easy.
Yeah, how about a vacation for you two?
That's right. How about a vacation?
Vacation? I can't take.
Why not? I'm tired, too.
From what?
Well, don't you think I worked? How about me having to go to Mr. Neff and Mr. Everett every day? You think you're the only one that worked hard? You think you're the only one that didn't sleep?
Oh, you slept like a log every night I lay there awake.
Oh, yes. Well, why did I sleep like a log?
I don't know. Don't start asking me.
Why, Jane?
Well, because I was so tired out worrying and working all day, I fell asleep the minute I hit the pill. That's why.
There's something in that, too. Now, how about it, you two? You need a couple of weeks off. Take it now. Give you a chance to get away and forget.
Yeah, forget my business.
You made $10,000 more than you thought you would. You can spend some of that on a vacation.
Oh, it's not the money I don't want to spend. It's just that I want to keep going now. Maybe I'll get another lucky break now.
Well, don't expect me to help you anymore.
Oh, you.
Not without a vacation. Let's take a vacation, dear.
Oh.
Sure. Why, even I'm going on a vacation, and I didn't make anything near $10,000.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I get my usual 2 weeks with.
Oh, then we can all go together.
I'm afraid I can't afford to go where you two will go.
Oh, well, you'll be our guest.
What?
Yes. Oh, now, Jane, that's too
Yes,
much.
I won't go unless Marge goes with us. How about it, dear? We could go up to the mountains. That's where we wanted to go last year, and we didn't.
No, last year we didn't go to Canada. It was the year before we didn't go to the mountains.
Was it?
Yes, it gets monotonous not going the same places every year. Let's plan on not going someplace different this year.
No, I'd like the mountain.
Oh, you
Wouldn't
would.
you, Marge?
No, Jen. It's nice of you, and I thank you, but you're not going to have me along with you.
Well, I won't go unless you go as our guest. You're not going to spoil my trip, are you?
Well, I'm afraid I'll have to if those are the conditions. Now, why don't you two go alone? Why do you have to
No,
drag...
I won't go unless you go. Dear, make her go.
Nobody has made me go yet.
You're like giving candy to a baby.
Oh,
Marge,
yeah.
why don't you go?
I'm not giving candy to a baby. I won't hear of it.
Well, I won't go a step unless you go, so there.
All right, so there.
Oh, stubborn, huh?
No, not stubborn. It's just that I don't want to go. I'm not sponging on anybody for a vacation.
Oh, now, Marge, you don't mean that about us. After all...
See, he asked you.
It won't do you any good. I'm not going. Let's drop it.
All right, if you want to spoil everything. It's all off, dear, because I won't go. Now, don't ask me.
Well, it suits me.
Don't ask me, I said, because if Marge isn't going, I won't. I'll show her. I won't go a step unless Marge goes. And that's that.
Now, isn't that silly, Jane? Why cut off your nose to spite your face?
All right, now, don't get personal. We can't all be beautiful. And don't change the subject. I'm not going to leave this house unless
There's somebody at the door.
She's just acting stubborn. Why do you have to be so obstinate? We want you to
There's
come.
somebody at the door.
What? Oh, there's somebody at the door.
Yes, there's somebody at the door.
Just a minute.
Anybody coming over?
Not that I know of. Oh, maybe it's Johnny. He wants to get the details of this grand mix-up we got into. I wouldn't be...
Yes. Who did you want to see, please?
Is this the residence of Mr. and Mrs. Ace?
Yes. What did you...
Are you Mrs. Ace?
Yes,
Who is it, Jane?
It's a man who wants to know if we live here. Will you come in, please?
Thank you.
Right through here.
Thank you.
Did you want to see me?
You, Mr. Ace?
Yes.
This is for you.
Well, what is it?
And this is for you, Mrs. Ace.
Well, thanks. What is it?
Summons.
What?
Good evening. Thank you.
Well, what is it, dear?
Summons. That guy, Neff. No wonder he wouldn't take the $250.
Oh, my heavens.
Well, what is it? What does he mean?
It's a summons for you and me. We're going to court.
Well, I won't go anywhere unless Marge goes.
Oh, isn't that all?
Countdown for blast off. X minus 5, 4, 3, 2, X minus 1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight, the time is the late 1960s. The place, Washington, D.C. The story, Honeymoon in Hell.
My name is Carmody. I'm a Grade 1 cybernetics man at Western Alliance headquarters in the Pentagon. Used to be a rocket pilot, but they retired me at 27 after I made the third successful flight to the moon. As a Grade 1 cybernetics operator, I get to work with Junior. Let me tell you about Junior. He was built in 1962, and he's the world's finest electronic brain, with the possible exception of Ivan, the Eastern Alliance brain, which was built on stolen plans and modeled after Junior. There are only 4 men in the country permitted in the same room with Junior because the data we feed him is so secret. One of those 4 is the president of the Western Alliance. The other 3 are myself, Charlie Mazer, and the chief.
Ray?
Oh, yes, Chief.
Have you got Junior running a problem?
Well, I just fed him the hourly data for probability of H-bomb war with the Eastern Alliance. He's ready. Hold it.
According to the data just received, the probability of a hot war between the Western and the Eastern Alliance is 99.930 in favor of such a war breaking out within the next month.
Oh, it doesn't sound good, Chief.
Yeah. Well, I'll scramble the data, send it to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Meanwhile, here's a priority C civilian problem to run off.
Oh, what's this stuff?
Well, it seems on September 17th, a statistician in the Birth Record Department of New York City noticed that out of 813 births reported that day, 657 had been girls, and only 156 had been boys.
Well, that sounds impossible.
Well, that's what this statistician thought. So they phoned some other cities, and the same trend is being shown, not only in other American cities, but in Western Europe.
Sunspots, maybe?
That's for Junior to figure out. He's the brain here.
Okay, I'll feed him.
Give me the results on the intercom. I'll be in my office.
Right. I didn't really pay much attention to the problem at the time. As a grade 1 operative, I was more interested in asking Junior questions on security, ballistics, missiles, rocketry, and so on. The Eastern Alliance would undoubtedly have traded 3 puppet governments and the tomb of Lenin to have an agent as a grade 1 operative. But I took the birth statistics and fed them in and waited. Junior, incidentally, responds to vocal stimuli. Speaks 12 languages. Got the answer, Junior?
I have.
Okay.
The present statistics, if the trend is projected for another day, indicate a definite, dangerous imbalance. If the trend is irreversible, unless new methods of reproduction are developed, the population of the United States and Western Europe will die out in 1 1/2 generations.
Well, it wasn't long before the newspapers got the story and kicked it around. People in governments really started to worry now. Biologists and laboratories made it their number 1 project. On September 29th, only 41 boys were born in the entire United States. During the month of October, in spite of all the work going on, not a single male child was born anywhere in the world, with the exception of 1 in Outer Mongolia and 1 in Alaska. November drew another blank. I was working 18 hours a day, feeding every available scrap of data to Junior.
Data insufficient for answer to your question.
Well, here's the latest. A new analysis of chromosome structure indicates the presence of an additional electron in the orbit of the Y atoms for carbon chain X. Now try again. The question is, what is causing the lack of male birth?
Anything new, Ray?
No, not yet. Hold it.
Data insufficient.
Well, that's it. We've fed Junior every scrap of information that every physicist, geneticist, chemist, and biologist in this half of the world knows, and all he does is say data insufficient.
Yeah, well, the operator who had him last night didn't do any better.
Any more information on the Eastern Alliance? Have they made any progress?
No, but at least the talk of a hot war is dying down.
Well, they're still working on a space station, aren't they?
Oh, yes, we're both going ahead with that. But, well, this seems to be a common problem now. You know, in spite of hydrogen bombs and ICBMs, people don't really expect the whole race to die out from a war. But the complete lack of male children, now that's something that every family can understand.
Has anybody thought of the possibility of some kind of radiation from outer space that's damaging the chromosomes, something our instruments can't detect?
Everybody's thought of it. Nobody's proved anything. Well, keep trying, Junior. Maybe he'll come up with something.
Okay. Junior, I'm ashamed of you. Answer me.
Information recorded.
Look, you're a whiz on rocket fuels and space orbits, but when it comes to women, you're a total bust, just like me. I don't understand them and never will.
Information recorded.
Now, you've convinced us that if we use the H-bombs in total war, both sides will lose, and we know that your counterpart in Moscow University has given the same information to the Eastern Alliance. That you can figure out. But women, you can't have genetics without women, right?
No.
Well, you know that much. What about that blonde at the party last night, huh? What about her?
The question is inadequately worded. Please clarify.
Should I see her again?
No.
What? You haven't even got any data on her. Why shouldn't I see her again? Answer, please.
Because tomorrow you are going to be married.
Well, I almost jumped out of my chair. Junior had gone stark, raving mad. Besides, Junior never made predictions unless he had some definite data. There wasn't a woman on Earth I had the slightest interest in marrying. I was a confirmed bachelor. So, unless somebody else had been feeding phony data into Junior, which was almost impossible since he already had enough data to check any flaw, well, I figured he'd blown a transistor. Come in. Oh, Chief, I was just going to tell you... Oh.
Ray Carmody, this is the President of the Western Alliance. Captain Carmody, Mr. President.
Glad to meet you, Captain.
Oh, I'm very honored, sir.
The President came here specifically to talk to you, Ray.
To me?
Captain Carmody, you have been chosen to have the opportunity to volunteer for a mission of extreme importance. Now, there's much danger, but not as much as on your previous trip to the moon.
Previous trip, sir? And this involves another?
The flight to the moon, Captain, will be the least important part of your mission. What's at stake here is the survival of the human race. Chief, perhaps you'd better explain the rest.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know the problem, Ray. Last night when Mitchell was on, we fed Junior some new data, and we asked some new questions. For example, we asked if the lack of male birth could be due to some extraterrestrial enemies of man.
Well, Martians?
Possibly. We established that it's possible that Martians have landed somewhere on Earth and set up radiation that causes all children to be females.
Junior said it was possible?
Definitely. So we asked him the next question. How could we correct such a situation?
Mm-hmm. What did he say?
Junior suggested that a married couple spend a honeymoon on the moon and see if circumstances are different.
Oh, I see. You want me to pilot them there?
Well, not exactly, Captain.
Oh, good grief. You mean you want me to... Well, Junior wasn't crazy after all.
You asked Junior?
He said I was getting married, but... Well, how do you know it was me they'd pick?
He was asked the qualifications for the bridegroom. He recommended a rocket pilot who had already made the trip successfully.
Well, there are 4 other pilots who've made that trip.
You're the only single one. And since the woman must be a qualified pilot also, and none of the wives are pilots, well...
I assume I'm going to be married before we leave.
Well, naturally.
Oh. And, just how long do we stay on the moon?
Until a child is conceived.
Brother.
Well, Captain, do you volunteer?
I suppose so. Well, wait a minute. Who's the other pilot? I mean, the girl.
She was flown in by fast rocket an hour ago and is waiting in Chief Reba's office. Now, shall we go?
There were some officials there, and a justice, and my bride. She was small, dark, slender, and very attractive. I was so busy looking at the way she filled out her uniform in just the right places that I almost overlooked the fact that she was dressed like an Eastern Alliance pilot.
Captain Ray Carmody, may I present Lieutenant Anya Borisovna?
You mean this is... an enemy pilot?
Pleased to meet you, Captain.
Yes, I'm pleased to meet you. Mr. President,
Captain, this marriage is being done on an international basis for important diplomatic reasons. Both alliances have been advised by their cybernetic machine that the experiment, if it is to benefit humanity, must bring all the major powers together. Miss Borisovna is 24, an experienced rocket pilot like yourself, and quite attractive, if I do say so myself.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Now, if you're both ready, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court will perform the ceremony.
Well, there's just one thing, Mr. President. Miss Borisovna, would you marry me?
Yes. And, you may call me Anya.
Okay. Mr. President, we're ready. I didn't even get a chance to kiss the bride. We were rushed over to the labs for a pre-flight physical. Then the chief took me aside for a private pre-flight briefing.
Congratulations, Ray. Sit down.
Thank you.
Now, 0 hours at 10 o'clock.
Only half an hour?
We've known about this for several weeks now, Ray. Ship is ready. We've already fired 11 supply rockets and observed that they landed on the moon near where you're supposed to put down. One of them contains a heat-proof, airtight, collapsible shelter where you live.
Uh-huh. Oh, what's the ship like?
R-26, much better than the R-24 that you flew there. Last time, Ray, you took 4.5 Gs for 7 minutes. This time you'll get by with 3 Gs and have 12 minutes to accelerate to Brennschluss. Now, you'll have enough fuel for the trip there. One of the supply rockets has your return fuel. Oh, yes. We put in a case of scotch and a case of vodka, just as an icebreaker.
Before we go, Chief, what would you have done if I'd turned this job down?
The cybernetics machine predicted that you wouldn't. Besides, we could have had 100 volunteers an hour after seeing Anya Borisovna. That gal was Moonbait.
Careful. You're speaking of my wife.
Tower to R26. Are you both strapped in?
Anya, you strapped into the webbing?
Yes.
Okay, Chief.
The time is X-15. I have a message from the President. Quote, "The people of the world are watching. Don't fail them. I have messages from the Soviets, the Chinese, the British, the Indians, all wishing you well. You are the hope of mankind, and all mankind unites as it has never before united in giving you its blessings. We await your return anxiously." Unquote. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1. Blast off.
The sound that was beyond all sound struck us like a giant muffled hammer. It built up until we weighed 480 pounds, pressed flat against the webbing. Sound and pressure went on interminably. Then we reached Brenchless, free of the pull of earth. I blacked out. When I came to, a lovely face was bent over mine, 2 dark eyes smiling at me.
Are you all right, Ray?
Oh, yeah. Are we weightless?
Yes. I shut off the fuel. We won't need it until we land.
Oh, thanks.
If you would teach me, I could help you land the ship. Oh, I've never been to the moon.
Well, sure. Just slide over here to the control panel.
All right. Like this?
Oh, that's fine. We've got about 4 hours Earth time to get acquainted.
Have you known many women?
A few. Have you had any boyfriends?
1 or 2.
Well, I was never really serious about anybody.
Oh.
You have a family?
Yes. In Magnitogorsk.
Oh. I'm from Brooklyn.
How long have you been a rocket pilot?
Oh, since I was 18. I'm 27.
I'm 24. I learned rockets when I was 18 also.
Oh. Well, we better concentrate on the ship just now. Later on, we can talk about ourselves more. Meanwhile, though, I hope you're not sorry. I mean, about this business. I guess it isn't very romantic.
I'm not sorry.
We made a good landing. It didn't knock either of us unconscious. Then we got into our spacesuits and got out of the rocket. Some of the supply rockets were lying within a quarter mile. There were 6 eastern rockets and 3 westerns. About 800 yards away, though, there was a big supply rocket we couldn't identify. It looked different from the others, and neither of us could identify it as an eastern or western design we were familiar with. I pointed to it, and we headed there. You recognize that supply rocket?
No, I was not briefed on anybody standing still in the shade.
Well, it must be something the chiefs of staff sent up as a surprise for us. I figured about 50 feet long, but you can't see the rocket tubes.
It might be a payload from a stepped rocket assembly.
Uh-huh. Well, there's a door on the side, anyway, you see? The top of that ramp.
Oh, yes. Maybe we ought to observe it a while before we go in.
Oh, nonsense. Come on.
Ray.
Yes?
Ray, I'm frightened. There's something wrong with this.
Only one way to find out, Anya. Let's go. Well, there's some kind of lock on this door. Let's see if it opens. Well, that was easy.
It's lighted inside.
Mm-hmm. Come on. Maybe they sent us a surprise cottage for the honeymoon. Special delivery to the moon.
And this doesn't look like anything designed for humans to live in. Ray! The door's closed behind us.
Try the lock.
No, it's no use.
Here, let me try. Holy smoke, I can't get it open. Do you have a gun?
No, I have no weapons.
They would be useless anyway.
Oh, look.
Good grief. They look like blobs of flesh with arms and legs.
About 3 feet tall.
Don't make any sudden moves. That's some kind of weapon he's carrying.
Precisely, Captain Carmody.
Who are you? How do you know my name?
My people and I are inhabitants of another galaxy.
Extraterrestrial?
Precisely. As for how we know your name and your language, we have been studying you since you first achieved space travel. We have intercepted your radio communications, for example.
Have you been responsible for the lack of male birth?
We have been beaming an ultrasonic wave toward your planet.
What are you planning to do?
For the moment, we will keep you aboard our ship and study you. You may remove your helmets, incidentally. We have provided an oxygen atmosphere.
Can we risk it?
Well, if he wants to kill us, there are easier ways. Here, help me get it off. Well, it breathes pretty good. Keep your helmet with you.
You may make yourselves comfortable. We will bring you food and liquid from your supply rackets. Do not attempt to escape, please. It could be most unpleasant.
The next few days were like a nightmare. The blobs left us to ourselves except to feed us. Of course, it had its funny side, too. The creatures knew we needed liquid, but they couldn't distinguish between water and whiskey. For the first 2 days, we had nothing but whiskey to drink. For obvious reasons, I don't remember much about it, but we did begin to sing to each other. We also got to know and like each other. I got to learn some Eastern songs. On the third day, the jugs were water jugs, and we sobered up. Oh, what a hangover.
You were singing magnificently.
Oh, well, you weren't so bad yourself. How long was I asleep?
About 8 hours. Ray, while you were passed out, I discovered how we can escape.
What?
I've been studying the blobs. They seem to have a 5-hour sleep period when there is no sound in a ship. I've tried banging on the walls with my helmet during that period, but apparently they're almost completely unconscious during our...
5 hours sleep. That means a planet with approximately a 20-hour rotation. The Joint Chiefs will want to know that if we get back.
And more important, we're much stronger physically than they are. I can actually bend the metal of the door lock.
Well, now, what are we waiting for? Let's put on our helmets and get out of here. Are they in the sleep period?
Yes, for about 3 hours. Ray, do you think we can risk it?
We don't have much choice. I'll go ahead. If we get out of this ship, you run for our rocket and start to refuel. I'll keep an eye on the blobs.
All right, but Ray, please be careful.
Don't worry. Before you put on your space helmet...
Yes?
You realize I've never even kissed the bride?
Yes. Oh, Ray.
Good luck, Mrs. Carmody. By the time I reached the ship, Anya had the rockets refueled. I jacked up the tail fins and we headed for space. When I checked our screen to see if the blobs were after us, we detected their ship heading toward the outer galaxies away from Earth. The rest was easy. In less than 24 hours, I was in the office of the President of the Western Alliance making a full report. The Eastern Ambassador was there, along with the Chief.
Captain, this story is incredible.
Well, I'll be glad to submit to a lie detector, Mr. President.
There's one on its way.
Our embassy is questioning Miss Borisovna right now to see if her story is similar.
Are you positive they were extraterrestrials? I mean, couldn't they have been, Easterners?
If Easterners are 3 feet tall, without bones, and look like little green blobs of protoplasm.
Yes. It's for you, Ambassador Corbett.
Thank you. Yes. 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 Our woman tells the same story under scopolamine. It must be the truth.
Obviously, they went back for reinforcements or further orders. If and when they get back, we've got to be ready for them.
My government stands ready to cooperate fully.
Excellent. We'll have to build a joint space station, get to the moon, and fortify it jointly. If we pool all scientific knowledge, military data, we may be able to do it.
Our propaganda ministry has already received orders to put everything into reverse gear.
Comedy, I don't know how the world can ever thank you and Miss Borisovna. You not only averted a suicidal war between the East and West, you've also managed to draw us together in a joint effort where international power politics must be a thing of the past.
Well, sir, I have a request to make.
Anything, my boy. By the way, your wife is on her way over.
I'd like to get back to Junior to ask him a personal question before I see her again, if you don't mind.
Well, it's rather odd, but I suppose if it's what you wish. Chief, would you let Captain Carmody operate the cybernetics machine alone for a few moments?
Right this way, Ray, boy.
I waited until I was alone with the big cybernetics machine. One green dial glowed malevolently as if the instrument was aware of my presence. I opened the input channel and spoke. Hello, Junior. This is your old friend Ray. Give an appropriate answer.
Hello, Ray.
Now then, you remember Miss Borisovna, the girl who was selected for me to marry. Item 1, she's going to rejoin me in a short while. Item 2, I've fallen in love with her. Item 3, before we actually live together as man and wife, I want to know something. Question. Does she love me?
Yes.
Oh, that's my boy. Now then, just one more item before I say so long and take a honeymoon. Tell me, Junior, why do I have a hunch that those blobs from outer space will never be back? Answer, please.
Because what you call a hunch comes from your own unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind knows that the extraterrestrials do not, and never did, exist.
What?
Do you wish the answer repeated?
I wish you to tell me why I saw them, why Anya saw them.
Neither of you saw them.
Amplify that answer, Junior, or I'll smash every tube in your memory bank.
Since I am an AC-7 cybernetics machine, I have no circuit reactor for threats of destruction of my tubes. The answer to your question is as follows. The memory of extraterrestrials is due to post-hypnotic suggestion.
You mean I was hypnotized to find those blobs on the moon?
Correct.
And just who hypnotized me?
I did. I hypnotized you.
Oh. And Anya?
A similar AC-7 cybernetics machine located at the University of Moscow.
Would you explain why?
Cybernetics machines are constructed to help humanity. A major war, the disastrous results of which I could accurately calculate, was inevitable unless forestalled. Calculations showed that the best way to avert that war was the creation of a common mythical enemy. Therefore, I created a situation which led to your mission to the moon.
Well, wait a minute. You created the situation.
Yes.
Well, tell me how you did it. How did you prevent male babies from being conceived?
A special modification of radio carrier wave for station JVT here in Washington, D.C., the only 24-hour-a-day radio station in the United States. The modification is not detectable by any instrument known to man at present.
Well, how could you do that? You can't leave here.
1 year ago, you yourself fed me a problem. The design of a new cathode tube for radio station JVT. I modified the tube to send out a wave that would prevent male children from being conceived.
So all we have to do is eliminate that tube.
It will not be necessary. The tube was designed to burn out exactly 15 minutes ago.
And the same thing happened in the Eastern Alliance?
Precisely. 2 properly constructed machines will always arrive at the same answer to the same problem.
Oh, Junior, I gotta hand it to you. But why let me in on it?
It is to the interests of humanity to know the truth. It is to your own interests. And you will tell no one because of the type of individual you are. Mankind will work together now to reach the stars.
One last question, Junior. If Anya and I were just hypnotized to think all of that was happening up on the moon, what really did happen up there? I waited a while, but Junior was silent. It's the first time he ever pulled anything like that. However, I'll swear that I saw that green eye of his wink at me.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Butterfly 9 by Donald Keith. The story of Jeff, who needed a job, and a man with a job to offer. One where giant economy-sized trouble had labels like fake make, bumsy, and peakage. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Honeymoon in Hell, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Frederick Brown and adapted for radio by George Lefferts. Featured in the cast were William Redfield, Vilma Currer, Wendell Holmes, Charles Penman, Leon Janney, Roger De Koven, and Jack Grimes. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
To keep the fight against heart disease moving steadily forward, you're urged to support your Heart Fund. Send a generous contribution to your local Heart Association or to Heart, care of your local post office. When you help your Heart Fund, you help your heart. Hear the latest up to the second news with Frank Blair, weekday mornings on most of these stations.
Countdown for blast-off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight, the time after the next atomic war. The place, somewhere in the United States. The story, The Moon is Green by Fritz Leiber.
The moon was green. Green as emeralds, green as leaves, green as grass. I reached my arms toward it and let it bathe me. I closed my eyes and let it kiss me.
Effie! Effie, where are you?
Oh, dear Lord, he mustn't see it. It's so beautiful, and he always kills beauty.
Effie!
In the bedroom, Hank. I've got to close the shutters before he comes. Mustn't.
Effie! What the devil are you doing? Close those shutters, you fool! Come away from there. You're trying to destroy yourself and me, too. You know those shutters are not safe to open for another 5 years.
I only wanted to look at the moon.
The moon? Here, count yourself for radiation. You know what the Central Committee would do to you for breaking the lead shield?
Kill me. I wouldn't mind.
Don't talk like that.
Would it be so different from being shut up in a lead coffin the way we are now? Would it be worse than the eternal thud of the air conditioners and the radiation filters?
Be still and count yourself. Good Lord. We're past the danger zone. Oh, wait a minute. Did you take off your watch?
No.
Well, give it to me. You fool. You little fool. What am I going to do with you? Can't you understand what kind of a world you're living in? Can't you?
Oh, I can understand only too well. It's the world that can't seem to understand. The world that went on stockpiling hydrogen bombs. The world that started testing those bombs, telling itself it hadn't really exploded enough to make the air dangerous. And then began to throw them across continents, one nation against another. It lasted about 2 months. And after that, the fury of doomed men who thought only of taking with them as many of the enemy as possible. After the fury came the time of terror. Men and women with death sifting into their bones and through their nostrils, fighting for bare survival under a dust-hazed sky that played fantastic tricks with the light of the sun and the green light of the moon. The only chance for existence was to claim one of those underground radiation-shielded places. They went to the strong. And afterward, the waiting behind the lead shields. The endless, interminable waiting.
You understand, I suppose, that we were allowed to reclaim this ground-level apartment only because the committee believed us to be responsible people? And because I've been making a darn good showing lately?
Yes, Hank, I understand.
It's a privilege to have some privacy, you know. I could send you back to the basement tenements. Would you like that?
Oh, no. Oh, no. Anything rather than that bedded huddling and that shameless communal sprawl. Yet is this really so much better? Being on the surface is meaningless. It only tantalizes. And yet...
Well?
No, Hank. I don't want to go back underneath.
Well, then try to behave yourself. Coming up through the tunnel just now, I decided I'd better talk to you. Frankly, Effie, the committee's beginning to be a little concerned about our lack of children.
Oh.
Charlie Baker asked me this morning if I'd like my name put on the list for a free woman.
You needn't bother.
What do you mean?
I mean, we're going to have a baby.
What? Effie, are you sure?
Yes.
Effie, that's wonderful. It's magnificent. Do you realize what this means to my rating with the committee? You know how important it is to the community to raise healthy members for the day when we can resume the surface war.
Yes, I've heard the broadcast.
We'll announce it at the meeting of the junior committee tonight.
Tonight?
What? Well, you hadn't forgotten about it, had you? It's the annual banquet. Now, you brighten yourself up and put on your best dress. I want the other juniors to see what a handsome wife the new member has got. What's the trouble now?
Well, I'm terribly sorry, Hank, but you'll have to go alone. I'm really not well.
There you go again. First the infantile, inexcusable business of opening the lead shutter, and now this. Don't you know what this could mean to my reputation, Effie?
I'm sorry.
You're coming, Effie. This is just neurotic pampering.
Hank, I'll just be sick and you wouldn't be proud of me at all.
Now, listen, Effie. Tonight's too important. It'll cause a lot of bad comment if a new member's wife isn't present. You know how just a hint of sickness starts all kinds of rumors about radiation disease. Now, what do you say?
No.
Effie, you're going. There's nothing wrong with you if I have to...
Hank, you're hurting my arm. It isn't good for the baby.
Oh, the baby? I'd almost forgotten. Oh, no, we have to be very careful. I suppose if I explain to them you aren't there because of the baby, it will make a difference.
Yes, I'll just stay here alone till you come back. When will you be back?
Well, those things usually go on pretty late. So if you're expecting company, you needn't worry.
Hank?
Yes, Effie?
Do you remember when we were first married?
Of course I remember.
You liked to go skiing, remember? You said it was like feeding a hunger for beauty being up on a mountain covered with snow.
What are you talking about?
You forgot.
I haven't forgotten. I have just as much desire to get outside as you do, but I know there's no chance for me. I've got to see that my children and their children survive to see the sun again. We've got to behave like adults, to make sacrifices. We've got to keep the strain pure.
Hank, what do you suppose it's like for them?
For whom?
The freaks and the mutants, the outsiders.
What do you know about them?
I remember some of the pariahs. They were hairless, cringing creatures with radiation welts all over their bodies. They came begging to be taken in during the last months of the terror. The committee ordered them shot down, just like dogs.
We don't like to talk about that.
Hank, are they still out there?
Effie, this is the sort of talk that's just morbid.
Are they?
Yes! There are still humans out there. At least they were humans. They know better than to come near the shelters now.
Poor creatures.
I can't stand here discussing this nonsense all night. I have to get going. And for the last time, are you sure you won't come down with me?
No. I'll wait here.
Don't you get lonely?
No.
I was talking to Jim Barnes today. He told me he wasn't going to be able to make it to the banquet either. Touch of the old flu, he said. That isn't like him, is it? Effie, are you listening?
What?
You remember Jim Barnes, don't you? He used to be sweet on you, said you had the soul of a poet.
Well, yes, I remember him. Why?
Never mind. Well, I guess I got a bit sharp with you. I'm sorry about that. I was excited about being made a junior and the baby and all. Selfish of me. I apologize. As you get to bed early, I'll probably go over to the men's dorm for a while after the meeting. You'll be completely alone for the next 4 hours. Do you mind?
What? Oh, no.
Good night, Effie.
He looked at me strangely, and then his features returned to their usual, harder, more calculating expression. Was it possible that he had sensed my very dream? Had it been a dream? Oh, it must have been. It wasn't possible that it had really happened. It had just been an illusion, a silly projection out of my starved romantic imagination. I waited until Hank's footsteps vanished down in the tunnel. And then I waited until I heard it. No, it isn't possible. There's nothing out there. Nothing but deformed monsters. I mustn't open the shutters. Oh, dear Lord, I've got to know. I've got to know. I've got to.
Well, now, so you haven't forgotten our meeting after all.
You.
And were you expecting someone else?
It wasn't a dream. You really were out there last night.
Oh, yes, on the night before.
I was afraid I dreamed it. I still think it's a dream.
Lean out into the moonlight a moment.
Is this a dream?
Oh.
Or was it a flesh and blood kiss?
And your name is Patrick.
Aye?
Patrick.
Well, now, did you open the window to find God's own breath, the fresh evening air, or did you open it to invite me in?
Oh, of course. Come in. Come in.
Come, Joan, Lewis. Ah, here, now, let me hand you. Being a cat with 12 toes on each foot and ears like boxing gloves is a bit cumbersome. I have to help him a bit, you see. Come on now, laddie.
There now. Is your husband about?
No, he won't be home for a while.
Well, still, I'd better close the shop.
Oh, no. Leave them open.
The radiation?
I don't care. I want to see the moonlight.
Aye. Would you have a bit of food? Joe Lewis and I are starved for a bite to eat.
Oh, yes. Yes, I'll get it.
Oh, Effie.
Yes.
Oh, but you're a fair creature.
Thank you. His face wasn't horrible at all. Only thin and sensitive and terribly sad. And there were no radiation welts or scars on his skin. He looked just as he had looked that first night when I opened the lead shutter and saw him crouched at the window. And now I knew it had been no dream. He was an outsider, a pariah. He was my love. Here's some canned meat and a food pill, and I put on some water for coffee.
Oh, bless you, Arun. Come on now, Joe. Here's a bit of meat for your black soul to feed on. He's hungry, poor creature. Well, then, sit down, girl, where I can look at you.
All right.
Have you missed me?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I've had some thoughts of you, I dare say.
Talk to me.
Of what?
Tell me again about outside, what it's like.
Again?
Again and again.
Well, now, outside... You say the coffee's heating?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, it is a wonderland for sure. More amazing than you and your entombed folk could ever imagine. A veritable fairyland.
Tell me the truth about
The truth? I am telling you the truth, my love.
But the bombs and the dust made only ugliness.
At first. But then they changed the life in the seed of them that were brave enough to stay. Wonders beyond wondering bloomed and walked. Well, have none of you been outside?
Well, the radiation teams go up into the ruined buildings once or twice a year to find canned food and batteries. But they can only work for a few minutes at a time.
Ah, sure, those blind-souled slugs could never see anything but food and batteries anyway.
Well, tell me what you see, beyond the city, I mean.
Ah, there are gardens there. Gardens where a dozen buds blossom for every one before. And the flowers have petals a yard across.
Oh.
And there are stingless bees as big as sparrows suffering their nectar.
But did the radiation make all the cats like this one?
Like this runt? Why, no, girl. They are grown, spotted, and huge as leopards. But they're gentle beasts, for the dust has burned all the murder out of every living thing.
Well, Hank says the dust kills.
Would you like to hear a poem I made?
Yes.
I'd say it. Fire can hurt me, or water, or the weight of earth. But by some curious coincidence, the dust is my friend.
Oh, more.
Well, then, there are robins like cockatoos and squirrels like a prince's ermine, all under a treasure chest of sun and moon and stars that the dust changes from ruby to emerald and sapphire. And there are... Well, what is it, love? What's that look for?
There's one thing you've never told me about.
And what is that?
The children. The new children.
Ah, no, the truth.
The truth.
The truth?
Promise.
I swear on the skin of my cat here. The children, is it, huh? Well, now, if you'd ever catch a glimpse of one of them, you'd never doubt me again. They have long limbs and smiling, delicate faces and white teeth and the finest hair. They're so nimble that... Well, that even I, a sprightly man and somewhat enlivened by the dust, feel crippled beside them, and their thoughts dance like flames.
But what's wrong with them, Patrick?
Wrong? Nay, love, there's nothing wrong. Different, perhaps, and new, but not wrong.
Well, tell me.
Well, then, they do have 7 fingers on each hand and 8 toes on either foot. But they're much more beautiful for it. And they have large, beautiful ears that the sun shines through. So lovely and delicate to behold.
How do they behave? They're mine.
Not as you and I, perhaps. They play happily in the gardens all day long, laughing and finding joy in the simplest beauty.
Are they defective?
Well, now, by the standards out there, you're the defective one shut up here all the while, hating and crawling in ugliness and feeling dirty. No, they're quite lovely. And they're quite perfect, the new children.
Oh, you're telling the truth. You're not making it up.
It is true, every word of it. Oh, I'll admit you have to look a bit hard to find these things I've been telling you. But find them you may. Do you believe me?
Oh, yes. Yes, I believe you. But I'm afraid.
Give me your hand.
Here.
Now listen to me. You must not be afraid to do as your heart tells you. That's why I'm here.
Oh, Patrick. Patrick.
Don't either of you move.
Oh, Hank,
Stay there, I'll bless both of you.
Hank, but...
Carrying on like this, and not even with a man of the community, with an outcast, a pariah.
No, man, I know what you're thinking, but you're wrong. I just happened to be coming by, hungry, a lonely tramp, and I knocked at the shutter, and your wife was a bit foolish and let her kind heart get the best of it.
Do you think you can sell me that?
Hank, please.
So you're going to have a child, my dear. My child?
Yes, your child.
I should pull this trigger right now. I should shoot him down in cold blood.
Man, you're mad. I never touched your wife.
You contaminated pariah. You're going to die. Don't you know that?
Hank, if you kill him, you kill the bringer of the best news we've ever had. Oh, Hank, put aside your jealousy for just a minute and listen to me. Patrick has something wonderful to tell us, all of us.
What do you mean?
I mean that we need no longer fear the dust. Oh, Hank, remember how it was with me. All the exposure I had, and yet there were no burns. Hank, those who were brave enough to stay outside have adapted. They've become a beautiful people.
Did he tell you that?
Everything that grew or moved was purified.
He filled you with lies so he could take you...
No, it's true. The radioactivity is almost gone, burned out.
Effie, I've been out there. It's horrid.
No. You've been blinded. Blinded to beauty. Blinded to living.
Good Lord, you believe it?
It's true. It must be true. Look at Patrick. He's living proof. He's been outside for a year and there isn't a mark on him, not a scar. It's because he's brave. And the dust can't hurt the brave.
Oh, you think that's it, huh? All right, Effie, I'm going to prove something to you. You, Patrick, take this radiation counter. Take it.
Very well.
Press the button and count yourself. Go on.
As you say.
Read it. Read it!
1,700.
Yeah, you hear that, Effie? 1,700 radioactives, enough to kill 1,000, and he's like raw radium. If you turn out the light, he'll glow green in the dark. A week's exposure to him will destroy you.
What are you proving, Hank?
That he's a freak. A freak! Get away from him. He's destroying you right now.
May I shut this thing off now?
Patrick, is it true?
Yes, I'm afraid 'tis true. Oh, you do well to cringe, both of you. I'm living death. I'm death itself. As your husband so wisely said, I'm a freak. Just like the man who ate nails and walked on fire. Only my oddity is that for some unknown reason, the dust can't harm me. I'm the only one. Step right up, ladies and gentlemen. Not too close now. And examine the man who couldn't die. And now, if you don't mind, I'll go back to my dead world and leave you to yours.
Wait. All of those beautiful things.
It gets so lonely out there. And I was starved for beauty. And so were you.
There's no garden out there.
Garden. Listen to me, the both of you. What is out there is more terrible than either of you can imagine.
You're worse than Hank, even. He only killed beauty once. But you brought it to life so you could kill it again. You're afraid. Afraid of the loneliness out there. Well, I'm not afraid.
Effie, keep away from the window.
No, I'm not afraid. Maybe there is no garden out there. And no beautiful, strange children to play happily. But there can be if we're brave enough.
Effie!
I'm going, Hank! I'm going!
Effie, come back, Effie!
There's no use trying to keep her, man.
Effie, come back! I love you! Come back!
There's no use, man.
There's still time. She stood the dust better than most. There's still time. You. The dust won't hurt you. Find her. Bring her back. I'll reward you. I'll give you food.
If you want her, you'll have to go yourself.
She'll die.
Maybe she won't.
How can you say such a thing?
Because perhaps she's like me. Aye. Perhaps the two of us together could be the first of a race that'll live in sunlight again.
Get against the wall where I can kill you easier.
Why would you kill me? Is killing all the answer you have to life's riddles? Is the smell of blood better than compassion? Is it more joy to own her than to be loved by her?
Move!
Man, you'll not kill me. Shall I tell you why? Because my flesh will not die. I live 1,000 years.
Not your brain, Patrick. And that's where this gun is aimed.
Well, then you leave me no choice. You get it!
Hey! Call him off! Cut my arm!
No! Stop! Well, then I have your weapon now. Out there, you see, we freaks have learned to live together and to cooperate. It's the only way we can stay alive. Oh, I'll give Effie your love. Come on, Joe. Oh, you'd better close the shutters as soon as we're gone. The moon is beautiful. But it's deadly.
I was waiting for him at the end of the ruined street. When we looked back, we saw Hank closing the lead shutters on himself. We were alone in the world. Above us, the moon was green. I bent and picked up a handful of the dust and let it trickle through my fingers. And I remembered the words of Patrick's poem. Fire can hurt me, or water, or the weight of the earth. But by some strange coincidence, the dust is my friend.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Advance Agent by Christopher Anvil. The story of a spy who had the worst possible break. The disguise he had assumed was that of a famous man. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you The Moon is Green, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Fritz Leiber and adapted for radio by George Lefferts. Featured in the cast were Joyce Gordon as Effie, Bill Lipton as Hank, Ian Martin as Patrick, and Frank Milano as the cat. This is Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Fred Way and is an NBC Radio Network production.
When the Johnson boat was towed to the Magic Island by the Euclidean submarine, it appeared that all hope for the Gregory party had vanished. However, Johnson was not on board the boat, having left it secretly on the high seas and boarded another boat returning to Los Angeles. The formula which Captain Bradford had sent to Johnson by homing pigeon has been taken by G-47, and the Euclidean scientists immediately set about compounding this formula, thinking they have Captain Bradford's universal solvent. The formula is really something far different, however, and as we look into the laboratory, we see Jerry and Joan standing with G-47, the woman submarine commander, and the submarine engineer.
Excellent work, Commander. You have brought them just in time. The work on the captain's formula is within seconds of completion.
I will take them to the confinement cells, if you wish it.
No. I want them here. Bradford is a very clever man. It is entirely possible that he may have planned a little surprise for us at the completion of the formula. It will be well to have two of his friends near me at that time.
What do you mean, G-47?
If anything unpleasant were to happen, it might lessen the captain's enjoyment to know that you too, young fools, had received a portion of the treatment.
You are wanted at the table, G-47?
Yes. Come with me, you two. Over here, quickly.
Is that the stuff there?
Precisely. It has reached the boiling point. The process should be complete any second.
I'm sleepy,
Joan.
Boy, it's a good thing we got out of there fast, Joan. I forgot and started to talk.
And I too, Jerry. A little of the gas got in my mouth, but I think I'm quite all right now.
Now, we're supposed to go and stir up all the rest of the Euclideans and try and get them to rush into that room to save G-47 and the chemist. Then they'll get some of the gas, too.
We will not need to alarm anyone, Jerry. That gong has done it for us.
You mean that gong will bring the others here to rescue G-47 and his scientists?
Yes, Jerry. The single stroke of the gong was for laboratory number 1. The 5 strokes for this level.
Boy, then we'd better get someplace else quick, if we're going to get away at all.
I do not know where to go, Jerry. We will meet other Euclideans if we use the elevator shaft.
I got it, Joan. Back into that noisy room, quick.
You are right, Jerry. That is the best place. I think we will be safe in here, Jerry.
Well, we better stick close to this door. Now, don't get out in the middle of the room where our voices make that funny hollow sound. Somebody might hear it outside.
I think the sound could not leave the room, but it is best to be careful.
Hey, who's ringing that alarm gong?
No one. It is automatic. One of the scientists must have been able to set off the alarm before the gas overcame him. It will continue to ring at intervals until someone enters the laboratory and shuts it off.
Well, from what Tex said, there'll be a lot of them enter the room before anybody wakes up to shut anything off.
How long will that gas in the laboratory remain active, Jerry?
I don't know for sure. Tex said he couldn't tell that without knowing how big the room was and how airtight and how much of the stuff they mixed up.
Then it might be safe for the others to go in there quite soon.
Yeah, but what of it? Those fellows in there will sleep for hours, Tex said.
The Euclideans have many wonderful antidotes and methods for reviving an unconscious person, Jerry. We may not have as much time as you planned on.
I know all that, but we can't make a move till we find out about these others who'll be rushing in there now.
Jerry, the gong.
I didn't hear anything.
That is the trouble, Jerry.
What's wrong now?
The gong has passed the regular interval when it should have rung automatically.
Then that means that somebody got safely into that room and shut off the alarm.
Yes, and that means we may have very little time to reach and warn the captain.
Not only that, but we've got to get out of here before we're caught. Or our only chance to get away with this thing is to be back on the yacht, looking plenty innocent when the other Euclideans come around asking questions.
Jerry, I have thought of a way.
Well, dish out the thought quick. I'm no mind reader.
Over there in the corner is an old elevator kept noisy for testing soundproof devices. It is never used. We can try that.
Get going then, and don't let any grass grow under your feet.
Grass grow under my feet? Jerry, I do not understand.
Skip it. Take out for that corner. Go ahead, run. Show me where it is. I'll follow. Hurry up.
It's this way, Jerry.
If they don't hear this, they're all deaf.
It cannot be heard outside this room. Oh, now we are out of the sound zone.
So I noticed. Now, where's the elevator?
I will move this lever. The door will open.
Boy, they sure didn't waste any soundproof paint on that.
Hurry inside, Jerry. Then we will go upward.
Okay, let's go.
This is not a good elevator, is it, Jerry?
Well, it goes up. That's all I want for any elevator right now. Hey, what are we going to do when we get off this thing?
What do you mean, Jerry?
Well, we'll be caught sure if we try to make it across the top of the island all the way to the yacht. Those guards in the control chamber on the surface won't leave their post to answer the alarm, will they?
Oh, no, Jerry. I had thought of that. We are not going to the surface. I know of a tunnel on the first level, just below the surface. We will use that.
And that will get us to the edge of the island without being seen?
Yes, Jerry. It will bring us out at Pier 5, within a few feet of my mother's yacht.
Oh, you're a peach of a girl, Joan. Oh, you're a honey.
I do not understand just what I am, but I like the way you call me those names.
Oh, you'll do, Joan. Hey, we stopped.
Yes, this is the first level. Now I will open the door. Get out, Jerry. This is the tunnel.
Boy, it's dark enough to be two tunnels. Now where?
Just a moment. I will set the lever inside the car for the fifth level again. Then when I close this door, the car will automatically return to the sound channel, and no one will know we have used the elevator.
You're getting better and better. Give it the gun. I got my flashlight. Is it safe to use it?
Yes, quite safe. We could not use the lighting system in this tunnel. The indicators in the control chambers would show that current was being withdrawn for use here.
Well, here goes the lights, then. Boy, this place is big enough to drive a truck through.
That is often done, Jerry. The electric carriers run through this passageway, carrying materials from ships to the interior of the island.
Okay, tell me about the wonders of the joint later. Just now, what direction is Pier 5?
Directly ahead, through the tunnel.
Come on, then. Let's go.
What can we do after we reach the yacht, Jerry?
No telling till we get there. But your mother and Captain Bradford will have some plan all worked out.
But even now the Euclideans, other than the chemists, are in the laboratory, trying to revive the chemists who were stricken by the gas, turning in alarms to all parts of the island, looking in every room and passageway for evidence that someone other than the Euclideans was there.
Well, we didn't leave any tracks, and nobody saw us coming out of the laboratory, so we're safe. And beside that, it was an accident anyhow. How could anyone prove the captain knew the foreigner would explode and make that sleep-producing gas?
The Euclideans have ways of doing many things, Jerry. Stop!
You didn't tell me any too soon. I just about bumped my head on that wall.
The passage turns here, Jerry, and circles the island, just at the base of the piers. But we go straight ahead.
Straight ahead? Through that wall?
The wall has a door in it. Watch. See?
Gee, another of those doors.
Yes, Jerry. Into the lock at once.
Another lock, huh?
Yes. Now I will shut the door behind us. Can you swim underwater, Jerry?
Sure. Can you?
Naturally. Now I will have to admit water to this lock. When it reaches your face, hold your breath. It will only be for a few seconds until the lock is full. The outer door will open automatically, and we will swim out. Ready?
Let her go.
Yes. Now, Jerry, when the door's open, swim straight out and up. My mother's boat should be directly in front of this door, and within a few feet of it.
I get the idea. The water's pretty near up to my shoulders now. You're shorter than I am, Joan. Hang on to my shoulders.
I will do that, Jerry. Brace yourself so the last rush of water does not knock you from your feet.
Ready here.
I am ready. Say no more until we reach the surface near the yacht.
Hey, Joan.
Quiet, Jerry.
We're right between the two boats, Johnson's and the yacht.
Yes, Jerry. Swim well in between them until we cannot be seen from the island. We should be able to grasp the line the boats are lashed together with.
Yeah, good girl, Joan. Let's go.
Look here, Jerry. There is a large hole in my mother's boat, just above the waterline.
Yeah, one in Johnson's, too. What does that mean?
Crawl in here, quick, kid, in Johnson's boat.
Captain Bradford.
Yeah. Hurry up, Joan. You first. Crawl in that hole.
Yes. Come in quickly, Jerry.
Coming up.
Good work, kids. We heard the alarm going off at the fifth level, so we knew the formula had done its work.
Yeah. What's the idea of the holes in the boat, Tex?
Go up into Johnson's radio cabin quick, and I'll tell you.
I think we will not have much time, Captain, before the Euclideans will come here and ask questions.
I know that. Here, look up at that beam. Duck your head.
Gosh, this boat's a lot bigger than the yacht, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nearly 40 feet longer. 20 foot on the beam. Plenty of storage space in the hold. Now wait until I look around before you kids come up here.
That is a good thought, Captain. It would excite suspicion if Jerry and I were seen returning to the boat, dripping wet as we are.
Yeah, all clear now. We'll just duck through this passage into the radio cabin.
Joan, my dear.
Oh, Mother.
I've been so worried about you.
We're okay, Mrs. Gregory.
Did the formula work as Tex anticipated?
Exactly, Mother. Every Euclidean chemist was put to sleep by the gas at once.
Have you raised him yet, Pat?
No, but I've been calling almost constantly. He should answer any moment now.
Who are you calling, Mrs. Gregory?
Johnson. But I'm calling our station at Wilmington. Johnson will know the message is for him if he hears it.
I think it is very dangerous, Mother. The guards in the control room will be sure to hear the message.
That's what we want them to do. They think Johnson's a prisoner here now. And if they hear us frantically calling for help, they won't blame that gas explosion in the laboratory on us. Keep trying it, Pat.
J24Y to Wilmington. J24Y to Wilmington. Patricia Gregory to Wilmington. Johnson arrived and captured. Captain Bradford's formula taken from Johnson and now in hand with Euclidean. Can you hear me, Wilmington? Patricia Gregory calling Wilmington.
When Jerry Hall went to Mrs. Patricia Gregory's home at midnight and begged her to take him on the Gregory yacht, which was sailing for the South Seas to search for Mrs. Gregory's long-lost little daughter, Joan, Jerry didn't even dream of the weird adventures the cruise would lead to. Now the Gregory yacht is tied up at one of the piers on Euclidia, the magic island, and lashed securely to it is Johnson's boat, also captured and held prisoner when Johnson sailed to the rescue of the Gregory party. Two things have happened, however, which give Mrs. Gregory and her party more reason for hope than the Euclideans know anything about. We hear them planning how to use these advantages as they talk excitedly in the radio cabin.
Before you say anything further about your plans, Captain Bradford, might I ask one question?
Go to it, Joan. The more mistakes we can find before we make them, the better off we'll be.
I merely wanted to ask if you were quite sure none of the Euclideans had been in this room since Jerry and I left to go to the laboratory.
I'm sure of that, aren't you, Tex?
I was just trying to think, Pat. Of course, we were in and out of here while we were working down the hold, but I'm reasonably sure no one else was in here. We didn't leave the cabin for any great length of time.
What do you want to know that for, Joan?
Because, Jerry, we are now going to discuss our plans for escape from this island, and we cannot do so unless we are absolutely certain of privacy while we are speaking.
Golly whiskers, Joan, you're right. And if any of those Euclideans were snooping around in here, they might have done something to this seaweed cloth so we wouldn't shield us from the sound and the light beams anymore.
Precisely.
Hey, what did I tell you about sounding like old G47?
I am sorry, Jerry. I should have said exactly.
Now, your point is well taken, Joan, but I think we'll have to take the chance.
Is there any way we could tell if the cloth had been tampered with, Joan, dear?
No, Mother. It can be sprayed with a liquid which robs it of all opaque properties. Yet the change cannot be detected.
Well, I'd say we didn't have time to worry about it. We've only got a few minutes to figure this thing out.
Right, kid. I'm for taking a chance and going ahead with the plans. Because any minute now, one of those Euclideans is going to come running in here and ask what we know about my formula blowing up.
You two had better tell Tex and me exactly what happened. Then we can fit our plans into it.
Well, we started to get ourselves into trouble, so we'd be taking a G47 in the laboratory. And we got taken there mighty fast and without getting into trouble.
We met the submarine commander. She took us to the sound channel, the only room on the island where one may always talk without being overheard.
Yeah, and that's the craziest room you ever saw. More funny noises and funny things without any sound.
Some other time, kid. Get on with the story.
I'm sorry. Well, that girl commander took us in this room just so we could talk to her without anybody hearing us. And we told her about the formula. Oh, how it filled the laboratory with gas and put everybody in the room to sleep the minute it was completed.
Oh, do you think it was wise to trust her that way?
I was in doubt at first, Mother, but her subsequent activities quite definitely substantiated Jerry's method of procedure.
That means everything came out okay.
I thought that might be it, kid. Go ahead.
Well, so we told this gal how we wanted to get into the laboratory to watch the experiment finished, how we had the cotton in our noses so the gas wouldn't put us to sleep, and that we wanted to get in there just before the blow-up so G47 wouldn't have time to ask us questions or send us away someplace else.
The commander then left us in the sound channel while she went to learn of the progress of the experiment. Luckily, G47 had learned of our presence on the lower levels, and he promptly sent the commander back to look for us.
You sure got a good break there.
These things seem to have gone almost too nicely for you.
Yeah. Then we tried to get the commander to put some of the cotton in her own nose, but she said no. Said it would look better when they woke up if she had really been put to sleep like the rest of them.
That girl deliberately allowed the gas to overcome her.
Yes, Mother. The commander said it would put her beyond suspicion and leave her in a position of being free to aid us at another time.
That's one of the most courageous things I've ever heard of. No matter what happens to us, we'll take care of that girl.
Gosh, that's swell of you, Captain. And it's mighty smart of her to figure that she could do us more good by going to sleep with the rest of them.
Jerry and I held our breaths a moment and made sure that everyone else was really asleep. Then we hurried out of the laboratory, and we were not seen or heard coming here.
Fine. Oh, but could it be possible that G-47 was watching you and noticed that you didn't react to the gas as the others did?
But we did. Joan and I both kind of choked a little bit, like the others did. Then we fell down on the floor and stayed real still for a second or two, till everybody in the room was quiet, like they were sound asleep. Then we jumped up and ducked out.
It looks cut and dried, Pat. I don't see where anything could possibly have gone wrong.
No, Tex, it seems perfect. Oh, if only these Euclideans really believe Johnson is here with us and don't find the hole we've cut between the boats, we should make our escape as soon as darkness covers the island.
I was going to ask you, what are the holes in the boats for?
Gee whiz.
Well, we haven't any choice.
We have nothing to lose. Our case is hopeless as it is.
You're right, Joan, dear. Nice work, Joan.
Come in. Oh, you.
Oh, my.
Oh, the skipper.
Oh, boy.
Yep. Well, what's up, Skipper?
Done.
What's done?
Tanks.
You got the oil tanks in Johnson's boat ready for the oil?
Yep.
Then we can begin transferring the oil at once, can't we?
Nope.
Why not?
Noise.
What noise, Skipper?
Pumps.
He's right, Pat. There isn't a sound anywhere on this island. If we start the pumps on this yacht to pump our oil over into Johnson's boat, they'll hear the pumps and come a-running to spoil our little plan.
Is it that you are going to transfer the oil from this boat to the other one and use the other boat for the escape?
Yes, dear. Johnson's boat is better for the purpose.
I get it. And we've got to have noise to cover up the working of the pumps before you can move the oil. Right, Skipper?
Right.
That's the problem. How can we make enough noise to cover those pumps without the noise being suspicious?
Yeah. Say, wait a minute. You've got a little portable power saw on board, Tex. I saw it.
Of course, Jerry, but
And
what...
that broken mast out there is hard to handle. The most natural thing to do with it is to cut it off clean near the bottom, then step the new end in the deck. Why can't we rig the saw up on deck and go to work on the mast? We can keep the saw running and cover the noise of the pumps.
Tex, will it work?
You bet it'll work. And we can keep our motors idling to run the generators for current for the saw motor. That'll be more noise to cover the pumps. Good boy, Jerry.
You are wonderful, Jerry.
Oh, you don't have to keep reminding me of it all the time. I won't forget that I am.
I feel sure that you won't, Jerry. But you certainly earned the bouquet this time. Oh, does that answer your question, Skipper?
Yep.
All right, Skipper. You wait until you hear our motors and the saw start. And pump fast.
Aye.
You can take Jerry with you now and set up the saw. Get the crew from Johnson's boat to help you.
Aye.
Now work fast, Jerry, and send McLeod in here to us now. If you talk to him out on the deck, don't forget to call him Johnson.
Aye, aye, sir.
Hurry up with that saw, boys. Let's fix up the mast so we can use our thing again there.
Right, sir.
Oh, Captain Bradford, it seems that things are going nicely for us after all.
It sure does, Joan. We get that radio working. I only hope they keep things up like this.
We didn't have time to tell you what we'd been doing while you and Jerry were gone, Joan, dear. But Tex has had the men working quietly, cutting holes in the sides of the two boats, just above the waterline.
Yes, I know. Jerry and I crawled aboard through one of the holes.
Yeah, and you're still dripping wet, Joan. Hadn't you better change your clothes?
Oh, but it is so nice and warm. I'm sure I will be comfortable.
No, dear, the captain's right. Better run along and put on one of my dresses. The tan sweater and skirt will fit you nicely.
I will do as you say, Mother dear, but really I do not like to miss any of the excitement. Oh, how do you do, Mr. Johnson?
And you, Miss Joan.
Nicely, thank you. Won't you go right into the cabin? Mother and the captain are expecting you.
Thank you.
Come over and sit down, Mac.
You needn't look so frightened, Mac. The cloth covering this cabin will keep anyone from hearing us call you Mac.
Will it cover up my accent, too? I sound about as much like Johnson as a bullfrog does as a mockingbird.
That'll do all right in here, Mac. How are you getting along with the transfer?
Well, everything below deck is in the other boat now, except the oil. That's a problem.
A problem no longer, Mac. Jerry solved it. He's going to run the power saw and cut off the broken mast while the pumps work to cover the noise.
That's a clever laddie, that Jerry. You didn't lose a thing when he shanghaied himself aboard for this cruise.
Yeah, we know it, Mac. Jerry and Joan have done a lot we couldn't have done ourselves.
And the best part of it is that you two have enough sense to give them a chance to do something. There's many a smart young'un in this world that never gets a chance to show what they can do, for the old folks standing in their way.
You're right, Mac. But much as we'd like to talk about our clever juveniles, there's work to be done. Are you going to try and move anything out of the cabin, Six?
Not much. We'll take this radio and my instruments the last thing, in the dark, just before we shove off. But I'm afraid you'll have to get along with very few clothes and luxuries, Pat.
You know how much that worries me, Tex. What else?
Well, I'm not so sure about the fuel supply. Remember, we've only a little oil here. And those diesels on the other boat burn it up fast.
How far will we have to run from here to be safe?
That depends on how soon our going is discovered, I think, and how well organized the Euclideans are to stop us.
Yes, if we can get clear away before the scientists in that laboratory start waking up, we may be all right. But the most we can get 50 miles from here with that oil, then sail. And sail will be too slow if they really take out after us.
Well, all we can do is to make the try, Captain.
There goes the motors and saw. Duck back out there, Mac. Get down into your own engine room without being seen and start those pumps. Use the full flow. You ought to transfer all the oil in half an hour.
Half an hour will be ample time. I'll follow you.
Well, we'd better go out on deck and act interested in fixing that mast, Pat.
Suppose you go, Tex, and leave me here to use the radio. I'll keep sending as though I were trying to get help from the mainland. Johnson will be picking it up wherever that boat he's on is now, and he'll make something out of it.
Good idea, Pat. It'll make these Euclideans think we're desperate. They'll be intercepting the beam all the time.
I'll keep on trying to get help, Tex.
Good luck, dear.
Hey, Tex, come over here, will you?
Why, sure, son. Coming right up. What's the matter, Jerry?
Well, I'm not sure how you want this mast saw. There's one of those Euclidean guards coming down the pier. What'll I do?
Just saw wood, kid. Just saw wood.
Of the mind. We don't know very much about the mind, a lot less than the psychologists pretend they do. In particular, we know very little about those peculiar qualities of mind that have made it possible for some individuals to see things at a great distance, either in space or in time. But these incidents have happened.
Our father's room, Captain Thompson. Just make yourself comfortable.
You let me know.
Of course, the minute there's any news. Now, don't worry. Your wife will be fine. Would you like a cup of coffee, Captain? You look rather worn out.
No, thanks. Yes, I would like a cup, thanks. I haven't had time to eat since yesterday.
Well, just sit down and I'll be right back with one.
You do look bleached, huh? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see the glare from that lamp.
First kid?
Yes.
Oh, well, you have three of them like I have.
I was out at the base, started for town here as soon as she phoned. She was leaving for the hospital, but it still takes 40 minutes to get in.
You part of that rocket business?
The space medicine experimental.
See, is that where they're using you guys as guinea pigs? I read they were even trying telepathy.
I'm sorry, I can't talk about it.
Oh, but I read it in the paper.
No, I'm sorry, I still can't talk about it. Doesn't that doctor have anything to do but stand around and wait? I'm going to talk to him.
Oh, relax, you can't do anything. Here, the doctors can do something, even the nurses can do something. Fathers can't do anything. You might as well get used to it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Why don't you try to get some sleep? Close your eyes and lean back. Might be hours yet.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Oh. It's good to have my eyes closed. 28 hours. Tension, emotion. New technique.
Here's a nice hot cup of coffee for you, Captain.
Oh, he's conked out already. Maybe you just better let him sleep.
Oh,
mental barrier. Future.
He seems to be dreaming. I never saw a man look so worn out.
Go back into the woods.
No point in waking him.
No, leave him be. Get the kids and the old people back. You hear me? Over there. Get them back. Back.
Over there by that brush pile. I see him go down. There. Where that tree? Thompson. Holly, you hit one.
What?
It's me, Clanton, and Diego. Don't you know us? Hey, look at his forehead, Diego. He must have run spank into a tree limb.
Where am I? What's going on?
Oh, he really gave himself a knock. Hey, come on. Hey, let's see those woods again. You got to get out of here. You got hard, Diego. Them bugs will be in here in 15 minutes.
What?
You just heard us hush up and go. There'll be no time to talk now. Pretty good, eh? We all just sort of stumbled onto it.
Sit down, Harvey. Bandage that head of yours while we talk. Clanton, tell her about your end of it first.
Well, I left you with your covering guard. Moved the rest all back through the brush, Harvey. We didn't have a bit of trouble at all. When I got the men flung around this spot here, and it's a natural for defense, Harvey. This tree's so thick you can't see through them unless they come over a treetop height. Then I went back to see about you and the boys, and I met Corshank and Swenson. They told me Talbot and Guido was burned, and you was lost.
You came for me?
Diego, he was still there looking around for you. I just helped him, that's all. And just as we found you, a patrol of the bugs came along the road there, at the edge of the woods, shooting into it. You know how to do. Oh, hold still. Anyhow, we set up camp here. Oh, we're a good 2 miles back in, safe enough for an hour or two.
There, that fixes you. Now, about my end of it, Harvey. I had the women, children, the old people rounded up before the patrol that spotted us hit. I don't think the Kinoys even had a chance to count us. I don't think they even guessed us to be a party as large as we are. After all, they've cleaned up everything but a few stragglers south of the Great Lakes and west of Denver. Anyway, I got them all back through the woods, and I've set up a separate camp for them about 500 yards back in. Your dad was a big help, by the way. He practically carried your wife most of the trip. I'm afraid it was maybe too much for him.
My wife?
Now, sit where you are. You can't do anything about her anyway. There's no reason to expect complications. She had your first son without trouble, didn't she?
Yeah, but that was in the hospital.
Will you forget your wife for 5 minutes? There's 238 other people here who need you right now. I was getting my report.
Go on.
Better. Now, the old people are tired, and so are the kids. But the kids will recover. We've got straight woods behind us, and there's about a 4-day supply of food left. The question is, can we make the Quetico in that time?
My men can get along right well on half rations.
Fighting and night marching all the way? And what about my bunch? The young women and the older kids will be all right. The younger kids we can take turns carrying, but the older men and women...
Maybe they won't chase us clear to where the old Canadian border used to be. We hit thick brush before that.
You know they will. We have to go deep into the north woods or they'll follow us. That's what's behind this whole Kinoid offensive. They've got to exterminate us inside of the next few years, or their own mutated virus diseases will win the war for us. Half the last few Kinoids have been sick and dying.
I wish I was sure that is you are, Maria.
Well, if I'm not sure, it doesn't matter. Here's a map. Now, here we are now, Harvey. 60 miles from the border.
Yes, I see. Well, what do you want me to do?
Do? Are you sick, Harvey? You're in command of this group. Or did that hit on the head knock your brain completely silly? You ought to tell us what to do, Clanton and me with our group.
But it must be my head. I don't seem to remember. If you could just let me think for a while.
Think? We've got 2 hours until sundown. And if you want to survive, we've got to head for the border tonight. Are you telling us you aren't fit to command this bunch of ours?
I'm sorry.
All right. You better take over, Clanton.
Why not you?
You know I can't handle the men. Well, Well, get your group and my group moving as fast as the sun's down. They've all been fed. But, Harvey, whatever's wrong with you, you better get over it quick. Because there's 239 people here who'll never reach Quetico without you in charge. I promise you that. I wish we could move the group by road or across farmland.
Well, why not?
Why not? You want the Kinoids to spot us.
Maria, what are the Kinoids?
You know, I do believe you knew that.
I do.
I never heard of amnesia like this before. Look, you know you're Harvey Thompson, don't you?
Yes.
And you know we're in what used to be Minnesota, heading north on foot toward the Quetico Superior National Forest on the Canadian border, don't you?
Yes, yes.
But you don't know the Kinoids spotted our first attempts at space flight and moved in to wipe us out.
No. But why did they?
Why, they're from Alpha Centauri, the nearest sun with inhabitable planets by our standards. We'd have headed there next.
Well, couldn't anyone explain to them that we wouldn't take their world?
Wouldn't we? What makes you so sure? Anyway, this is the way it worked out. Now, if little groups like ours can survive long enough, the Kinoids will be decimated by their own mutated diseases. They'll have to pull back. We can build again and then go after them.
Are they really bugs?
Oh, it's just a name some soldiers gave them. No, they're almost human, but not quite. Now do you remember?
I don't know.
Harvey, I shouldn't tell you this, but I'm fond enough of you to want you whole and sensible again for your own sake, aside from...
Aside from what, Maria?
Aside from the fact that there's only one man in this group that all the rest will obey without question, and that's you. So far, Clanton and I haven't told anyone that you aren't still giving the orders. Think about that, Harvey. Because if you can't pull us through to safety, nobody can. Remember that.
Oh, Maria, where's my wife? I haven't had a chance to see her.
No time for that now. Clanton just came in. We're all ready for that council that you called.
Council?
Come along. These people can't know yet you're not directing them.
Ready and willing, Maria.
Sit down, Harvey. How are the men, Clanton?
Worn out. How are the non-competents?
Too tired to eat breakfast, most of them. I've left orders for them all to get something in them before they try to sleep. Your wife and son are fine, Harvey. She walked part way and rode in the litter when she got tired. Your father is in much worse shape. He'll insist on helping her.
Scouts are back in. Got a little stretch of open territory ahead. No way to avoid it.
Kinoids waiting for us?
That's right. About a patrol. They couldn't have figured we'd come this way or there'd be more. As it is, we got to get through them fast. They'll be calling for help.
How fast?
You ready to take over, Harvey?
I just wondered, how fast?
15 minutes, if we're lucky. And there's 300 yards of open to cross.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're in thick brush for at least 10 miles.
Well, it's best, I suppose, to hit them at twilight. They won't come after us in the dark?
Not in the brush. Not even with air sport.
What's the ground like?
Give me this stick here. The woods judge out like this, and it's meadow both sides. From this point to where they're sitting.
What's that drumming mean?
Nothing. They do that morning, noon, and evening when there's nothing else to do.
What's the position?
I got them laid out in the grass in a half circle, like you said. Halfway clear around them bugs.
All right, give me the whistle. Close with them! Close with them! Use your knife!
Yes. Clanton, would you mind letting us talk by ourselves for a minute? I want a private word with Harvey.
All right with me.
What is it?
You have to move the group right away?
Yes, why?
Some of mine can't.
Well, how bad are they?
Pretty bad. They need a day or two of complete rest. Right now.
We can't wait, Maria. We just can't.
That's what
I was afraid of.
The Kinoids will be right at our backs at dawn. If they can keep after us and harry us, they'll wear us all down eventually. And we can't go on fighting for every little clearing. We've got to lose them now. But who is it? Which ones can't go on? Not the children, not my boy.
No, not your wife or your boy or any of that group. They've all been worn down by this march, but they're young enough to bounce back. It's the old people that don't.
The old?
Yes. We've got 10 older women, 3 older men, including your father, Harvey. They can't go any farther.
Well, not Dad. Well, he's in good shape for his age.
That's just it. For his age. Under ordinary conditions, you don't notice how quickly an old person tires because they're always catching little rests. On a march like this, though...
We can't just leave them. We can't...
I'm sorry, Harvey. Their lives or the rest of the group. And you're in command.
But the Kinoids would find them before noon tomorrow, and old people with nothing to defend themselves with... The older people have sons and daughters in the group, too. They'd never stand for abandoning their parents.
It's up to you. Harvey, I'm sorry. If you want me, I'll be over there with Clancy.
No, I can't. It'll be kinder to kill them ourselves and to let the Kinoids... Dad, how can I?
Wake up! Captain Thompson, wake up!
Huh? What's that?
You've been sleeping. You were having some nightmare there.
Oh. What is it, nurse?
A boy, Captain Thompson. You're the father of a boy.
Oh. I have to carry him. Oh, that's the older one. He's all right. Pardon me, I'm still groggy, I guess. A boy. Where is he? How's my wife?
Oh, your wife's just fine. She's still in recovery, and you can talk to her in a few minutes.
Oh, good.
Your son's in an incubator. He's just a little bit lightweight. You can see him in a minute, too. And the doctor will talk to you shortly, but will you come down the hall right now, and we'll get the birth certificate filled out?
Oh, sure.
You can sit right there, Captain Thompson, on the side of the desk. Now, what name have you and your wife picked out for your son?
Name? Let's see. Oh, yes, Harvey. Harvey Walter Thompson, Jr.
Harvey Walter... Captain Thompson?
Yes?
Well, Captain Thompson, of course we'll put down whatever you want, but I notice on the admittance slip here your wife's name is down as Mrs. John W. Thompson. Your name is...
John, that can't be right. Now, Harvey was my wife's choice. She had the name all... My name is John.
Well, yes, that's what we have down here on the admittance slip.
My son's name is Harvey.
Just plain Harvey Walter Thompson, no junior. It's easy to be confused. You'd be surprised at some of the fathers. Captain Thompson, are you all right?
All right. I'm all right.
Well, then if you'll sign here.
Yes.
And now it's official. You've got a son to take care of you in your old age, Captain Thompson.
Yes. To make the decision.
Men first, scientists later. The fact of being a man means that they have human emotions, human needs, wills, desires. It's hard for a scientist, as it is for any other man, to see his whole life orientations, his deepest beliefs, not flat. When Einstein's theories of relativity were first established, there was one of the major astrophysicists who committed suicide. All he believed had been demolished. Are our scientists to be expected to be any more able to take the shattering blow that the reality of clairvoyance would mean than the other people of our society? There have been incidents, but the scientists don't like them. I don't think any of us do, but they're there.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents the adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman. And today, in the far-flung reaches of a South American jungle, the Man of Steel meets with some strange experiences. We'll join him in a moment. But first, let's see what Dan McCullough and his pal Eddie are talking about. And now, the adventures of Superman. Yesterday, as you remember, Clark Kent, Rev Peyton, and Jimmy Olsen, stranded in the jungle of South America, had settled down in their improvised lean-to for some much-needed rest, little realizing that not very far away, 2 Japanese parachutists, having spied the flickering light of the bird in a coma, are even now descending from the hills to investigate. But even in his deep sleep, Superman's keen ears pick up the sound of the stealthy, rustling footsteps. He stirs as in a dream. Then suddenly he is wide awake. What was that? Sounded like footsteps. If Coma hasn't noticed anything yet, or he would have whistled. I better get outside. I could see Jimmy and Rev Peyton are asleep. Quiet, Coma. Don't make a sound. Not an animal. Those are human footsteps. Well, whoever it is, it's got to meet Superman. Here they come. Great Scott, 2 camouflaged Jap soldiers. This is going to be good. I wouldn't miss this for all the rice they've stolen from China. That's right, Oshima. It is on tree, not on ground. Oh, yes, I see. Perhaps it's another Japanese soldier. We have not been notified how many more sons of the Emperor will drop from heaven by parachute. You not talk so much. Let us see what right is. And while you're looking, take a good look at me. Oh, son of heaven. It's giant. Shoot, Oshima, shoot. Throw those pop guns away. You, bullet, no hurt. Gun, no kill. He's devil. He would not take me. I go to my ancestors. I die honorable death. Well, that's one. Now, what about you? I not wish to die. What will you do to me? You'll find out. Stop struggling. Just relax. We're going. Up, and away. No! We leave ground. You man, you know bird. How you leave ground? Save your breath except to answer my question. No answer question. You know, huh? Well, we'll see about that. First, we'll do a somersault in the air just for fun. No, didn't like that, eh? Funny, it made me feel much better. That somersault was for the Chinese, and this one is for our boys in Bataan. And here's the turn for Saipan. Another for Tarawa. No more. Stop, please. Yes, maybe that's enough. For now, anyway. I want to knock all the breath out of you until you answer my question. We'll go down. Oh, you know that before. Not now, I won't, but if you don't tell me everything I want to know... Oh, I can everything. Good. Down.
Mr. Kent, is that you? It's Superman.
Hello, Jim. Look what I found.
Oh, I stand up myself now. I not run away.
You better not.
Gee, another Jap. I heard some shots and found a dead one just a little way from here. How'd you find him, Superman?
Oh, just happened to be passing by, Jim.
Oh, gee, sure lucky you were. We've had enough trouble already.
You can tell me all about it later, Jim. Let's get this squirming piece of humanity tied up.
Hey, you bet. Gosh, you must have scared him. Shaking so hard, he looks like he's ready to fall apart.
I hope he doesn't. He's got a lot of information inside him. We don't want to lose it. Come on, you. Here, this tree should be a good place to tie him to.
Well, what are we going to use for a rope? I haven't got anything but my shoelaces.
Well, I'll hold him while you pull down some of those jungle vines. They may scratch him a little, but they'll hold him.
Okay. Be back with him in a minute.
Right.
James, we're up close. Are they awake? The cracks are thunder. But mayhap
I was dreaming. Why, thou art not James, Monsieur Clark. I do not believe you at all.
But I know you, Rev Peyton.
So fun now. And pretty. How comest thou to know my name?
Well, Clark Kent told me.
And what is thy name?
Oh, I'm Superman.
Oh, the Strickland James has spoken thy name often. He thinketh highly of thee.
I like Jim, too. He's a good friend of mine.
And who is this thou holdest by the back of the neck? Why, you might be a brother to Saki, the evil Grand Master of Veneria.
That's what I figured, Rev Peyton. I figured Saki was Japanese.
Thou figured? Well, I've never seen you before.
I could find Superman.
Oh,
you up, Rev Peyton?
The noise awakened me.
They'll do. Come on, Jim. You help me tie him up.
And how?
I do.
You two what?
I do. And how?
Oh, boy. She learns fast, doesn't she, Superman?
Certainly does. Come on, let's get going. Well, here we are. Now up against that tree, you.
Oh, no, you let me go.
I'll hold him while you and Rev Peyton wind the vines around him.
Okay, come on, Rev Peyton. Up the kite. Oh, no, please. Who'd have thought I'd be helping capture Neff?
There's no door. Another human being. Death in their hearts. They must be strange thoughts.
Draw tighter, Jim.
Oh, no. Let it go. Okay. I don't think he can get away now.
Well, that's a good job. Couldn't have done it better myself, and that goes for you, too, Rev Peyton.
Oh, thank you, Sarah.
Gee, won't Mr. Kent be surprised when he gets back?
Pretty, Sarah Clark.
Yeah, that's right. Where'd he go?
This jungle is no place in which to wander alone. Maybe he has lost his way.
Gosh, maybe we better start looking for him.
You stay here, Jim, and watch our prisoner.
Well, what about Mr. Kent?
I'll scout around, and he can't be very far, and just as soon as I find him, I'll send him back to you.
So you mean you'll bring him back?
Well, maybe not, but don't worry. I'll be around if you need me.
Oh, well, if you've got to. Goodbye, Superman.
Serve you well, Sarah.
Goodbye. Take good care of the prisoner.
You bet.
Now, up, and away!
Well, there he goes, Rev Peyton.
Look, a beautiful kind of bird. The heavens look brighter because of him.
You said it. Well, now it's time we got down to business.
Business?
Sure. Guess since I'm the only man around now, I'll have to give the orders.
Aye, Sarah. What wouldst thou command me? Here stand I, ready to obey.
Just sit close by me and don't go wandering off by yourself. Now, let's see. Oh, yeah, let's have a look at Tito.
Tito?
Yeah, I call all Japanese soldiers Tito. I know their right names.
Oh.
How you doing, Tito?
Since Rajman go away, I not talk.
You talk, you rat. I'll bust you one on the noggin.
Noggin? What speakest thou, James?
Oh, you know, noggin. Beam, dome, up here.
Oh, it's clear. Thou meanest head.
Yeah, that's right.
'Tis well understood. Hearest thou? Speakest thou now as James commandeth, or I too will bust thee on the noggin.
That's great, Rev Peyton. In a little while you'll really be talking English.
James, look there. Oh, Sarah Clark coming through the brush.
Hey, Mr. Kent, over here.
I see you. Well, what do you got there?
A Japanese prisoner.
Superman brought him to us.
Yeah, and there's another one over there, dead. He shot himself.
Well, let's find out what they were doing around here.
Sarah Clark.
Yes?
Oh, what are you staring at, Miss Peyton?
Here. Turn thou around slowly, so as not to startle him.
Startle who?
There is a rabbit hiding in the brush.
What?
Here's a flame pointing dart in his head. Take care.
As Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen turn slowly, they see a dark, ugly face staring at them through the bushes. Poised in his hand is a sling with a poisoned dart. Who is this apparition who seemingly appeared from nowhere? We'll know in just a moment. But first, here's an important tip for you.
Say, gang, do you know whether the Vought Excalibur is an Army or Navy transport plane? Here's another question. Is the normal flying range of the British Sunderland flying boat 1,000 or 2,000 miles? Well, the answers to these two questions are printed right on the backs of two of the prize model planes that come inside all the Kellogg's pep packages now. You see, there's a colored cardboard plane model right inside every single pep package. Now, there are 14 you can get altogether, and two of the models are the Vought Excalibur and the British Sunderland flying boat. And printed right on the backs of all these models are lots of valuable pointers about that particular plane. Best of all, gang, you don't have to send in a single penny for any of these exciting models. Not even a box top. There's a plane right inside every PEP package. So, gang, be sure your mother gets you a package of those golden, delicious whole wheat flakes tomorrow. And don't forget that name, PEP, P-E-P. PEP is made by Kellogg's in Battle Creek.
And now, back to our story. After helping Jimmy Olsen and Red Peyton tie up their Japanese captives, Superman left to change back into the guise of Clark Kent. He had scarcely returned to the lean-to when a strange apparition appeared out of nowhere, holding a dart sling in his hand.
Don't move, Jim. Maybe a friendly native. We don't want to frighten him.
Well, it looks like we frightened him already. He's running away.
There are friends as well as strangers here. Likely he has gone to join his tribe group.
Are the natives friendly in these parts, Red Peyton?
It's not easy to say. There are tribes which are friendly. There are others without help.
That's not much help.
Hey, maybe we better not wait to find out whether these are friendly or not, Mr. Kent. Maybe we ought to get moving.
Look like the human teeth of under his throat and his face. But that's no way to look, Susan.
So go ahead, Red Peyton. You think you recognize the tribe he's from?
I cannot say absolutely.
Well, tell us anyway. We've got to know sooner or later.
But it seems to belong to a tribe of headhunters.
What?
Headhunters? Leaping lizards. What do we do, Mr. Kent?
Take it easy, Jim. Take it easy. Nothing's happened yet.
Uh-oh. John.
This is our boat. But running has identified his tribesmen. They approach even as we speak.
Hearing those drums sends shivers up and down my spine. Let's get out of here, Mr. Kent, quick.
We can't, Jim. Even if we wanted to.
Why not?
Because in the first place, we don't know where to go. And in the second place, we're already completely surrounded by pests.
Unable in the presence of Jimmy and Red Peyton to assume his true role of Superman, Clark Kent stands rooted to the spot as the unknown tribe of headhunters closes in on the clearing. Tensely he awaits their approach, wondering what he can do. We'll find out what Kent does tomorrow, so be sure to listen. Tune in and follow The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Follow The Adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station. By the makers of that super delicious cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. This is Mutual. Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, and today it's Clark Kent. He and Jimmy Olsen are within the gates of Illyria. In just a moment, we'll learn how they fare in their search for Hercules. But right now, Dan McCullough has something to tell us. Go ahead, Dan.
Say, gang, you've probably all read plenty of stories about mine-laying planes. But have you any idea what one looks like? Well, right now is your chance to find out, because one of the prize model planes in the Kellogg's Pep packages these days is a mine layer, a British Handley Page Hamden. And right on the back of this nifty model are printed lots of valuable pointers about it, as well as a list of the other planes you can get in that particular series. Now, there are 14 different models you can get altogether. They're all made of colored cardboard, and they're just as easy as pie to put together. 2 of the models you can get are Russian, 4 are British, and 8 are American. And among them are exciting planes like the C-54 Skymaster, the Russian 118 fighter, the British Sunderland flying boat, and many others. Best of all, gang, you don't have to send in a single penny for any of these grand models, not even a box top. There's a plane right inside every single package of that super delicious breakfast cereal, Kellogg's Pep. So be sure your mother gets you a package of those golden, delicious whole wheat flakes tomorrow. And don't forget that name, Pep, P-E-P. Pep is made by Kellogg's in Battle Creek.
And now, The Adventures of Superman. Yesterday, as you remember, Clark Kent, Rev Peyton, and Jimmy Olsen, lost in a South American jungle, were trying to decide what to do with their Japanese prisoner when they found themselves surrounded by a tribe of native headhunters. Fortunately, the chief of the tribe recognized Rev Peyton as a friend and offered to help them reach her country. Leaving Rev Peyton and the Jap prisoner with the tribe, Jimmy and Kent finally arrived at Elyria and hurried immediately to the house of Herkimer, Rev Peyton's friend. There they learned, to their horror, that the aged counselor had been condemned to death by Saki, Grand Master of Elyria, and was to be executed within the hour. As we join them now, they are standing outside Herkimer's house in the gray light of dawn, uncertain as to what to do. Listen.
Looks like we're at a dead end again, Mr. Kent.
Never say die, Jim. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, sure. But what? We don't even know where Herkimer is.
Well, we'll have to find out.
Guess we better look for a jail or something, huh?
It won't be the same kind of jail we have in Metropolis. Remember, Elyria didn't have any criminals.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, look. The sun's coming up.
Uh-huh.
Gosh, what a beautiful city. Is that gold on the roofs of the buildings?
Looks like it. Better be careful now that it's light, Jim.
Yeah, I'll say we do. We don't look like we belong here at all. What do we do, hide?
No, we've got to find Herkimer.
Yeah, but how do we keep from being seen?
Well, we just have to duck down back streets, that's all.
When do we start?
Right this minute.
Check. Which way?
Follow me.
Nobody around yet. The streets are empty.
They won't be empty for long. I hear voices.
Oh, I don't.
They will soon. Around that corner, I think. I'll stick close to the wall.
Good thing the roofs of these houses jet out.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of keep us in the shadow.
Hold on a minute, Jim.
Quiet. What's the matter?
Quiet, I said. Don't move. Someone's coming.
Meanwhile, the Herkimer lies within the hour.
Hey, there has been a change. Before Herkimer is put to death, Saki has decreed he is to face the council to confess his crime.
What crime has the good and wise Herkimer committed?
Did you hear that, Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Well, what do we do?
Get going as fast as we can. Come on. Around this corner.
Where are we going?
Never mind. Okay, turn off here.
What are you twisting and turning for, Mr. Kent? You act as though you know where you're going, but...
Don't exactly, but I'm following a hunch.
A hunch about what?
There are subterranean passages underneath us.
Where'd you get that idea?
I just figured that a bird like Saki couldn't get along without prisons, and he'd be most likely to build secret ones underground.
Well, that could be, but I still don't see how you know which way to go.
Just following a hunch, that's all, Jim.
Gosh, I wish we didn't have to race through these streets with our heads down. I'd like to see what Elyria looks like.
Stop, Jim. Flat against the wall.
Uh-oh. More people coming?
I'm counting it not.
So do I.
It's whispered that the Princess Rev Peyton is not dead at all.
Aye, and that Saki is wrathful because of it, and blames Herkimer.
It was only just that Herkimer acted as he did. We do not believe in killing here in Elyria.
Thou speakest truly. But even now, Herkimer is himself in danger. We must do something.
But what?
I do not. We will have some...
Gosh, they seem excited.
I'm worried, too. I have to help them by helping Herkimer. Come on, Jim. We're almost at the end of our trail.
I wish I knew where you were heading.
We'll find out in just a moment. Oh, in fact, here we are now.
Where?
That big house. Saki lives there.
How do you know?
Keep your voice down. All right, come on, we'll sneak in. Be very quiet, okay? Hold it. Subterranean passage starts from the secret door.
Gosh, how do you know all these
They don't ask questions now, Jim. Look out. There's steps here. 5 of them. Take it easy going down and remember to hug the wall.
Gee, it's dark.
Quiet, Jim.
I can't see my hand in front of my face.
Okay. 1 more steps. It's level ground here. Oh, watch it. Someone in the corridor up ahead. 2 guards. I can hear their voices.
No, Mr. Kent. Those voices are coming from above us.
Hey, you're right. Thought the guards were talking, but I see the chamber they're guarding is empty.
Oh, was that where Herkimer was kept?
Looks like it, but he's not there now.
Oh, where is he? Maybe they've killed him already.
I don't think so. Come on, let's go upstairs again.
What for?
We'll trace those voices and find out what's going on. You with me, Jim?
Yeah, right behind you.
Good. Hear the steps again.
Okay.
Careful.
Getting used to the dark now.
Well, here we are. Now to find the room where the voices came from.
They sound closer now.
That's right, they do. They're coming from that room over there, with the double doors. It's the council chamber.
How do you know?
Never mind, come on. The small room next to it is empty. Close the door quietly.
Gosh, hope nobody catches us in here.
Quiet.
I don't like the feel of this place.
Stand close to the wall, Jim. If you put your ear against it, you can hear everything that's being said.
Okay.
I see once again, Hackerman. And I'm all ready to answer. Is the princess was taken alive or dead?
I have told thee, Saki, no words more concerning our beloved princess will cross my lips.
Just hear that, members of the council? Well, since thou will not tell me, I will tell thee. The princess was taken, lives.
Strange that thou shouldst know this when thou allegedly hast no communication with the outside world.
Just hear his treasonable remark, O members of the council.
He's a jackal.
Wherefore dost thou continue to play out this farce, Saki? These people gathered in this room are no longer lovers of Olivia, but are other plotters with thee against her. I hold their decisions in no more honor than thine.
Enough of that stupid babbling, Hackerman. We are no longer interested in thee or thy theories, old man.
That I know. But forget not, there are others in Illyria who will rise up against thee and thy fellow traitors.
Where are thy friends, Longbeard? Talking on street corners, mayhap, full of sorrow and dread. But they are stopped. Stop! Too much peace and too much justice have made them stop.
Thou wilt live to see thy doom at their hands. Aye, they have forgotten how to fight, but attack that which they love, and they will learn again.
First they must learn how to live under the hill. I will teach them, and thou shalt be their first lesson.
Thou mayst kill me, Saki, but it will avail thee not.
We shall see. The people are rebellious now, but only in words. When thou art dead, they will think only of building themselves from a like fate.
'Twould be worth my life to prove thee wrong, Saki, but thou art a coward at the base of thy heart. Thou wouldst not dare take the chance.
Thy taunts will choke in thy throat when it feels the tightening of the noose. God! Lead this man to the public square and see that he be hanged immediately from the gallows I have had built therein. And I myself shall follow to kick the stool from beneath his feet.
We gotta break in, Mr. King. We gotta.
No, Jim.
But they're gonna hang him.
Easy, Jim, easy. The people of Illyria must see that Saki really intends to go through with this execution. We can't stop it now.
Mr. Kent, Hercules might be dead before we can do anything. Please, let's do something. Please.
Pleading desperately, Jimmy attempts to convince Clark Kent to save Hercules before it is too late. But Kent has another plan in mind, a desperate and daring plan. If it fails, well, we'll be back in a moment to find out. But right now, here's a suggestion for you.
Say, gang, have you ever noticed that when fellows get together these days, they often start talking about aviation? Well, that's another reason why I want to tell you about the wonderful prize that's in all the Kellogg's pet packages these days. Because, you see, it's a swell way to build up your aviation knowledge. Now, this prize is a model plane made of colored cardboard, and it's just as easy as pie to put together. And furthermore, on the back of the plane are lots of valuable pointers about that particular model. Now, there are 14 different models you can get altogether. Exciting planes like the British Lancaster bomber and the Douglas Dauntless dive bomber and the Russian single-seat fighter, the 118. And best of all, you don't have to send in a single penny to get them, not even a box top. There's a model plane right inside every single pet package. So, gang, be sure your mother gets you a package of those golden, delicious whole wheat flakes tomorrow. See which model plane you find inside. And remember the name, PEP. P-E-P. PEP, the famous breakfast cereal.
cereal is made by Kellogg's in Battle Creek. Now, back to the adventures of Superman. Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen have made their way to the public square where Herkimer is awaiting execution. Hiding behind a marble pillar away from the crowd, they stand watching the tense scene being acted out before them.
They're attacking him now, Mr. Kent. Going up the steps to the gallows.
Yeah. It looks as though all Illyria's here.
Gosh, he doesn't seem to be the least bit afraid.
Herkimer's a wise old man, Jim. He's teaching his people a lesson.
Yeah, but that's no reason for us to let him die.
Take it easy, Jim.
Take it easy? Gee whiz, how can you say that when they've got him up on the stool already? Oh, look, he's shaking his head. He doesn't want them to tie his hands behind him. Oh, you'd see the crowd's not even moving. Not a single person's willing to take a chance on saving him. And we're cowards like all the rest.
No, don't you worry, Jim. I told you I had a plan.
I know you didn't, and I believe you, but gosh, Mr. Kent, when do you expect to do something about it? Look, they're putting a rope around his neck.
You wait here a minute, Jim.
Where are you going?
Just wait, that's all. Don't move from this spot. Understand? I'll be right back.
But, Mr. Kent, look. Hockey's going to kick the stool out from under him.
Great Scott. Run, Jim, run! Head for the hole in the walls.
Trim them out!
Think them this is a guy.
Aye, do not move either one of these, or I will strike thee down with my sword.
Covered by a guard at the very moment he was planning to assume his true role of Superman and save Herkimer from death on the gallows, Clark Kent has seemingly waited too long. Now, how can he possibly make use of Superman's powers in full view of Jimmy and with a raised sword threatening them? And what of Herkimer bare seconds from death? Tomorrow's episode is tense and exciting, so don't miss it. Tune in and follow the adventures of Superman. Follow the adventures of Superman, brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the makers of that super delicious cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publication. This is Mutual.
Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal, invites you to rocket into the future with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet.
Stand by to raise ship. Blast off -5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
As roaring rockets blast off to distant planets and far-flung stars, we take you to the age of the conquest of space with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. As a warm spring sun beats down on the campus of Space Academy, the cadets of the Polaris unit, Tom Corbett, Roger Manning, and Astro, lug their heavy space gear across the grassy quadrangle and step on the broad slidewalk, heading for the Academy spaceport. As they ride, Tom reminds his unit mates of a previous mission with the same commanding officer, Major Blastoff Connell.
Look, fellas, after the hard time Major Connell gave us on the last mission out to Pluto, let's see if we can't really be on the ball for this one.
Okay by me, Tom.
It won't do any good.
You won't know till you try, Roger. What's the matter? Afraid of a little work?
Listen, you Venusian clunk, I'll work circles around you any day in a week, and that includes...
Okay, save that energy for the Polaris, Roger.
Yeah, use some of that hot air to shine brass.
Well, there's the ship. Let's get aboard and have everything shipshape for Major Connell. This is one mission when the Polaris crew is coming back with a clean record. Polaris unit reporting, sir.
Well, back to your old tricks again, I see.
Tricks, sir?
I thought after our last flight the Polaris unit had pulled itself together. But I see it's the same erratic, undependable...
Well, is there something wrong, sir?
No. No, nothing serious, Corbett. Just a minor detail. About what I'd expect from the Polaris unit. Who has the orders for this mission?
Well, I have a copy of them, sir.
Will you read the orders aloud, Manning, just for the record?
Yes, sir. 6 May 2352. Order 35876. Polaris unit will report to Academy Spaceport at 1400 hours with full space gear and place themselves under command of Major Connell. Mission, space test of new long-range transmission beam. Destination, Tara, planet and system of Alpha Centauri. Spaceship to be used, the Annie Jones.
Oh, murder. Does this ship look like the Annie Jones? Well, does it?
No, sir.
Just a minor detail you overlooked, no doubt, and a detail that will cost you each 20 demerits. Now haul your gear out of here and see if you can find the Annie Jones. That is, if you can tell the difference between a cruiser and a space freighter. Unit dismissed.
I don't get it. Why do we always wind up with Connell when we've got a long flight ahead of us? First it was Pluto and now Tara. 25 billion miles out into deep space, and he has to be the boss.
Well, cheer up, Roger. There'll be 2 other spacemen on the crew. Connell will have to share his bad temper with them.
Well, if they're smart, those guys will be dead. Who are they, anyhow?
Oh, I don't know their names. A couple of men who were on the first exploratory expedition to Tara.
You know, whether we like the company or not, this is going to be an important flight. If we can get this long-range transmission beam to work, it'll be the first big step to establishing a colony out there.
Fine, and all I hope is they make Connell a CO.
Well, here's the Annie Jones. Come on, let's climb aboard.
You sure this is the Annie Jones now?
Of course. Climb into the airlock. Come on, Astro. Hey, Astro.
Oh, sorry, Tom.
What's the matter? What are you looking at?
Oh, I thought I saw somebody hanging around that port stabilizer fin.
Don't see anyone.
I guess I was wrong. Well, let's go. And heaven help us stay on the right side of Major Connell from now on.
You can say that again, Astro.
You space-happy jerk. Did you have to show yourself like that? You almost quit the whole deal.
I'm sorry, Thurston. I thought those were the guys we're waiting for.
No, those were the cadets. We want the 2 enlisted spacemen.
Yeah, I know, but listen. Are you sure this thing is going to work?
We're going to make it work. I'm not letting a hunk of copper like that slip out of my fingers.
But are you sure the satellite is really copper?
For the last time, Lewis, I had that sample tested. The satellite around Tara is almost 3/4 solid copper. And right now, with no deposit on Earth, Mars, or Venus big enough to wire a magnoscope, it's worth more than plutonium. We'll be rich enough to retire, and the dough we'll get from the first load.
I still think we ought to charter a ship and get it legitimate.
To charter a ship costs money, and we ain't got a single credit between us. Besides, this guy Connell and his space cadets might find the copper moon and claim it for the Solar Alliance, and then where'd we be?
Oh, I don't know.
We found that moon when we were out there with the expedition, and we're keeping it.
Okay.
Hey, here come those 2 spacemen. The rest of the crew. You ready?
Yeah, all set.
Quiet now. Get 'em!
Okay, Thurston, they're out cold.
All right, drag them behind that supply truck and grab their space gear. From here in, we're assigned to the crew of the Annie Jones, and when we get to Tara, we'll be richer 1 copper satellite.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by. Here's a special communication from Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. Yes, spaceman, here is Tom Corbett to give you an important message about building yourself up to be strong and vigorous. Come in, Tom Corbett.
Corbett here. Now listen, spaceman. In any assignment a space cadet takes on, he's expected to do his very best. That's why space cadets demand the foods that help them the most. Foods that power them up for hard work. Kellogg's Pep is one of those foods. And besides being a builder-upper, Pep is a great tasting cereal, too. You don't have to take my word for it. Make it your space cadet assignment starting tomorrow morning. Eat Pep. Eat Pep every morning. You'll like that flavor. A whole wheat and malt flavor you can really taste. And when you get up from that breakfast table, you'll have a good supply of vitamin D, vitamin B1, and other important food values. The kind of food values you need to get out there and do a job any space cadet would be proud of. Let's make a deal, spaceman. we'll both eat Kellogg's Pep every morning. And we'll both keep ourselves ready for action every minute.
Right, Tom Corbett. And say, spaceman, start your day the spaceman's way with a man-sized bowlful of Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
Blasting through space in the long-range freighter Annie Jones under the command of Major Connell, Tom, Roger, and Astro are bound for the planet Tara in the system of Alpha Centauri to test a new long-range transmission beam. Already off on the wrong foot with the harsh commanding officer, the boys are unaware that they face more trouble from the two enlisted spacemen in the crew.
Thurston, I still think this job is awful risky.
Nobody's asking you to think. We got to get rid of the cadets and Major Connell, and then the copper satellite is all ours.
Yes, and how do we get rid of them? It's 4 against 2, and those kids aren't babes in arms.
You let me worry about that. We're going to start cutting down the odds right now.
Corbett. Cadet Corbett.
Aye, Major Connell.
Corbett. You know the rules governing all entries made in the logbook.
Yes, sir.
It states that under no circumstances are any entries to be erased. But I find 2 lines here in your watch report have been erased.
Erased?
And on top of that, the wrong course rewritten in its place.
But I never...
Is that your signature?
Yes,
That'll
sir.
cost you 10 demerits, Corbett. And for every act of negligence aboard this craft, there'll be 10 more. And 10 more. Clear, Corbett?
Clear, sir.
Thurston. Yes, sir. Check through the log for more erasures, and I hope for your sake, Corbett, there aren't any. Attention, power deck check-in.
Power deck, aye. Cadet Astro here.
Stand by for course change of 4 degrees starboard at my command.
Aye, sir. 4 degrees starboard. Ready on steering rockets.
Fire.
Major Connell, we're swinging 10, 12, 14 degrees.
Power deck. I said 4 degrees, not 14.
Something went wrong, sir. The energy induction valve was wide open.
Something went wrong, eh? We were in close formation, Cadet Astro. Do you know what would happen?
Well, yes, sir.
No buts. This is just another example of this unit's cockiness. That little mistake will cost you 20 demerits, Cadet Astro. Keep it up, and by the time we get back to Space Academy, the only power deck you'll handle will be on a kiddie car. And just in case you ever do have a kiddie car, you'll spend 4 extra hours a day off watch making rounds with Lewis. Maybe you can learn something from a real spaceman.
Well, blast my jets. Look who's got all the demerits. And yours truly, Roger Manning, just goes about his work.
Why, you stargazing squirt, I tell you something happened to that valve.
Yeah, and I suppose Tom didn't erase that stuff in the logbook.
No, I didn't, Roger.
Stop beefing. A few demerits and you're crying.
Manning, where are you?
Uh-oh, and transmission, fellas. Right here, Major. What's up?
Suppose you tell me. Check your space position.
Sure thing. Here you are, sir. Chart K, Section 63. We're right here.
Look again, Manning. I think you'll find it Chart M, Section 67.
Chart M, sir?
Chart M, Manning. Check your dead reckoning again.
Well, yes, sir. Hey, wait a minute. You're right, sir. It is Chart M, but how could that be?
It's simple, Manning. You made a mistake.
But I checked these figures 3 times, sir.
You made a mistake, Manning.
Well, yes, sir, I see it's wrong, sir, but I didn't do it,
Cadet
sir.
Manning, you admit there was an error?
Yes, sir, but
And you are the astrogator on this ship, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
I don't mind if a man makes a mistake. A human error can be understood and excused. But I cannot excuse a man who commits an error and then tries to wriggle out of it. It seems all I ever get from the Polaris unit is excuses.
But I
am relieving you from duty, Manning, as an example of negligence. Return to your quarters. Thurston, check in.
Thurston here, sir.
You're assigned to the radar deck for the remainder of the trip.
Yes, sir.
Now maybe I can relax with this ship in the hands of real spacemen.
There it is, Lewis. Second in command. Recorded in the logbook, all nice and legal as far as the cadets are concerned. My idea worked like a charm.
Yep. Planning all those mistakes on the kids and then denying it. Oh, boy, that was just like pouring oil on a fire. Connell just got hotter and hotter and hotter.
So now if anything happens to Connell, I take over the ship and no questions.
I'd feel a lot safer if we got rid of that space bum right away. Suppose he gets wise. And that Corbett is a smart kid, too.
Yeah, too smart. You're right about Connell. We got to get rid of him fast.
The thing is, how do we do it? The ray guns are all locked up.
Leave it to me. I'm going to make our tough skipper take a swim out in space. And I'll use Corbett as bait.
Now, what's so funny?
I'm just thinking, Lewis. I might get down in history as the first guy in the universe to catch 2 space fish on one hook.
Tom, that error on the radar deck was in simple arithmetic. I couldn't make that mistake if I wanted to because I use a calculator on all problems.
Right. And the first thing I learned was not to erase the logbook. And you, Astro, well, you couldn't turn the wrong valve if you wanted to.
All right, then. What's the answer?
Well, I don't know, but I've got my ideas. Thurston and Lewis.
Come to think of it, they're the ones who profited by all this.
And if Tom's right, it's still going to be tough to prove with Thurston second in command.
You think it would do any good to talk to the Major?
I don't know, Astro, but I can try. All he can do is give me a few demerits. And the way I'm going, what's 10 or 20 more?
All right, Thurston. What is it? I'm going outside to check the radar antenna. I wondered if Corbett here might want to come along.
Come along? Why?
Well, to learn something, of course. But if you'd rather not...
Good idea, Thurston. A little refresher is good now and then.
But I just finished a 6-week refresher course at the Academy, Major.
Of all the lazy, stupid, short-sighted rocket watch. Get into a spacesuit on the double and go with Thurston. That's an order.
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's not so bad, Corbett. I can teach you a lot out there. Be the best lesson you ever had. There's the antenna up forward, Corbett. You go ahead and I'll follow you.
Okay, Thurston.
Why so slow? I don't want to be out here all day. Why do you keep looking back at me?
Just making sure everything's all right, Thurston.
Oh, yeah, huh? Well, everything will be soon.
Hey, what are you trying to do? Let go of me. My oxygen valve. Let go of me.
Yeah. Oh. That's it, Corbett. Have a nice long sleep for yourself. Attention. Emergency. Major Connell. Something's happened to Corbett. His oxygen supply is blocked. They need another bottle right away.
Stand by, Thurston. Do what you can. I'll be right out.
Better hurry, sir. There isn't much time.
That's it. Breathe deeply, Corbett. You'll be all right. Last hit, why didn't Thurston just turn your valve on when he saw you weren't getting oxygen?
Thurston, he turned the valve off.
What?
Yes, sir. Where is he?
He went back into the ship to get a respirator.
He what?
Corbett, what are you doing? Come back here.
Major, the airlock, I can't open it. Thurston locked it from the inside.
What? Thurston! Thurston! Check in, or by the stars, I'll put you in irons.
You're not putting anyone in irons, Connell. You're finished. I'm taking over the ship.
But you rotten space crawler, I'll tear you apart.
Go on, keep blasting, Connell. That's all you can do now. Don't expect Manning or Astro to help you. They're fast asleep. A little narco-sleeping gas in the oxygen circulating system, and they never knew what hit them. When we get to Tara, we wake them up and tell them you and Corbett had an accident.
Now listen, Thurston.
Better save your breath, Connell. You've only got 4 hours of oxygen in your bottles. So you'd better take a good look at the stars. They'll be the last thing you ever see.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by. Spaceman, Kellogg's Pep, the cereal that brings you these exciting Space Cadet adventures, now gives you a chance to collect detailed picture cutouts of your favorite Space Cadets. Right now at your grocery store, each and every regular-sized package of Kellogg's Pep has a special Space Cadet picture cutout right on the back of the package. All you have to do is cut it out
and set it up in your own Space Cadet setting. You can get a picture of Astro, Tom Corbett, or Roger Manning in a spacesuit, Dr. Joan Dale in the official Space Academy dress uniform. You want to get all 4 Space Cadet picture cutouts, and it's easy to do. Nothing to mail, no box tops to send in. Your picture comes right on the back of every regular-sized package of Kellogg's Pep. And that's not all. Right inside that package of Kellogg's Pep, you're going to find the best-tasting wheat cereal you ever poured into your cereal bowl. Just heat those golden flakes up high. Cover them over with milk and sugar. Boy, when you taste a spoonful of that delicious whole wheat and malt flavor, well, you'll call for second helpings right on the spot. So don't forget, ask Mom to get Kellogg's Pep as soon as you can. For a swell build-up cereal with Space Cadet picture cutouts on the back of every package, it's Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
Left to die of suffocation, locked outside the Annie Jones, Tom and Major Connell worked desperately on a plan to save not only their own lives, but the lives of Astro and Roger, who have been drugged with a sleeping gas.
Lucky for us, Thurston left this other oxygen bottle outside, Major.
If we can damage the steering vane enough, it'll tear the control to make those rats come out to fix it.
Just a little more, sir, and I think we might have it.
Here, let me try a while, Corbett.
Yes, sir. A little more, sir, and that'll do it.
Hammer out here on the edge.
That's it, sir. Steering vane's jammed.
This will start the ship drifting off course. Thurston and Lewis will be scanning the hull to see what's going on. And we've got to make them think we're either dead or too weak to resist.
But how, sir?
Now, you lie down on the hull. I'm going to shove off into space.
Hey, they're coming out already.
Quick, now, I haven't time to explain. Keep their attention drawn from me. Or we'll wind up drifting with 10 million of the most unfriendly stars I've ever seen.
Imagine those guys busting that steering vane with that oxygen bottle.
Not a good at them, Thurston. I saw one of them through the airlock viewport, drifting away. Almost 4 hours, so I guess the other one is done for now.
Yeah, but I hope that vane ain't busted too bad.
Well, if it is, we get Astro to fix it.
Good idea. Okay, pressure equalized. Now open up the outer hatch and climb out.
Hey, there's one of them down by the stern of the ship. I think it's Corbett.
Yeah, looks like he's passed out. But you better stay here by the airlock just in case.
Okay.
I'll go over and take a look.
Well, hello, Thurston. Come to look over the steering vane?
Guard?
Yes, still alive. No thanks to you. They'll get you, Thurston, for mutiny, piracy, and attempted murder. The Solar Guard will
make me laugh. When I get back, I'll have enough credits to buy the Solar Guard. Now, you're going for a long swim in space, and I'll make it easy for you. A blast from this parallel ray. So when the oxygen gives out, you won't feel a thing.
So by trying to keep it a secret, Thurston and Lewis lost everything. Thurston confessed they wanted to keep the discovery of the copper satellite to themselves, and the first step was taking over the ship.
But I still don't understand what happened outside the ship, Major.
Well, Roger, when the Major shoved off into space, I was supposed to act as decoy for the skipper to sneak up behind them.
But how did the skipper get back to the ship?
With the oxygen bottle, Astro. He waited for me to get Thurston and Lewis's attention, and then used the bottle like a jet to push him back. He came up behind Lewis and hit him with a bottle.
I must have cracked his helmet. I couldn't save him.
Well, what were you doing all this time, Tom?
I'll tell you what he was doing. He was protecting me.
Protecting you?
That's right, Manning. To keep Thurston's and Lewis's attention, Tom took a parallel rate charge as calmly as if he were listening to a lecture at the Space Academy.
Well, I'll be a stargazing lunatic.
And speaking of Space Academy, it's going to be a long time before we get back. I've received orders from Commander Arkwright to bring the copper back with us. So you'd better get a lot of sleep. We've got a big job ahead of us.
Sleep? After a round with that narco gas, I want to stay awake for 6 months.
Well, blast my jets. Now I've heard everything. Manning passing up sack time.
Oh, rack it off, you Venusian hillbilly.
Listen, you skinny space
Hey,
jerk.
fellas, take it easy. The Major.
Never mind, Corbett. Let them blast. It shows everything's back to normal again. Thank the universe.
miss the next action-packed adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, on Thursday, when the crew of the Polaris lands on the copper satellite and begins the overwhelming task of sending it blasting back to Earth in Part 2 of Danger in Deep Space. Tune in, same time, same station on Thursday for the next thrilling interplanetary adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet.
Brought to you by Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal.
Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, starring Frankie Thomas, can also be seen on television and appears in the comic sections of many of America's leading newspapers. Look for it daily and in weekend editions. Featured in the cast were Al Markham, Jan Merlin, and Andy Donnelly. Today's program was written by Richard Jessup and directed by Drex Hines. Jackson Beck speaking.
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret. Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret. And what a secret! In Kellogg's Raisin Bran, the tasty raisins are dipped in honeycomb. That means plumper, more tender raisins along with delicious golden crisp bran flakes. Both fruit and cereal, all in one box. And no other raisin bran but Kellogg's gives you the tender goodness of raisins dipped in honeycomb. That's Kellogg's secret. So for your breakfast, make sure you get Kellogg's, because Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
This program came to you from New York. America is sold on ABC, the American Broadcasting.
Did you miss out on that big football game last week? Can't get rid of that head cold? Want to get away from it all?
CBS offers you Escape.
You are groping your way slowly through the dark hold of a ship at sea, moving carefully, step by step, searching intently for something you dread to find, because you know that this ship carries a cargo of death.
The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations presents Escape, produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and carefully plotted to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight we escape to a harbor front in Venezuela, and a grim voyage that started there, as told by Martin Storm in his gripping story, A Shipment of Mute Fate.
I stopped on the wharf at La Guaira and looked up the gangplank toward the liner Chan Cave, standing quietly there at her moorings. The day was warm under a bright tropic sun, and the harbor beyond the ship lay drowsy and silent. But all at once, in the midst of these peaceful surroundings, a cold chill gripped me, and I shivered with sudden dread. Dread of the thing I was doing and was about to do. But too much had happened to turn back now. I'd gone too far to stop. Well, I set the box down on the edge of the wharf, placed it carefully so as to be in plain sight and within gunshot of the captain's bridge. And then I turned and started up the gangplank. I knew what I was going to do, but I couldn't forget that a certain pair of beady eyes were watching every move I made. Eyes that never blinked and never closed. Just watched and waited.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Why, Mr. Warner.
Hello, Mother Willis. How's the best-looking stewardess on the Seven Seas?
Well, I'm fine, Mr. Warner. I guess better run along now. Get on with the chores.
Now, wait a minute. That's a fine greeting after 2 months.
Well, it's just that I'm so busy.
I don't believe a word of it. Sailing day's tomorrow. You're simply avoiding me, that's all.
Oh, no, really, I'm not.
And on the trip down from New York, you said I was your favorite passenger.
But I'm only...
Yeah, wait a minute. What's that you're carrying in your
Oh,
apron there?
it's nothing. It's just supplies.
Supplies? Let's have a look. Huh?
No, please.
What do you know? It's a cat.
It's Clara, Mr. Warner.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Bowman said I had to leave her ashore, and I just couldn't.
Who's Mr. Bowman?
The new chief steward.
Oh.
Clara's been aboard with me for 2 years, and I just can't leave her here in a foreign country, especially with her condition so delicate and all.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Well, I hope you get away with it.
You won't tell anyone?
Not a soul. As a matter of fact, if things don't work out right, we may both end up smuggling.
Happy to have you on board on the trip down 2 months ago, Christopher. I'm very glad you're coming along with us on the run back to New York.
Thanks, Captain Wood. There is one thing, though. I'm having a little trouble with the customs men here, and I wondered if you might...
I can't do it, Christopher. I just cabled your father this morning. Told him I'd done it for you if I possibly could. Sent a request from New York, you know.
Yeah, I thought he would. I wired him from upriver last week.
I hate to refuse, but it's absolutely out of the question.
Well, Captain Wood, I'm afraid I don't follow you there.
Responsibility to the passenger, son. We have women and children aboard. On a liner, the safety of the passengers comes ahead of anything.
But with proper precautions.
Something might happen. I don't know what, but something might.
You've carried worse things.
There isn't anything worse. And any skipper afloat will bail me out. Now, Christopher, I simply can't take the chance, and that's final.
Final? Well, it wasn't final if I could do anything about it. I hadn't come down here to spend 2 months in that stinking backcountry and then be stopped on the edge of the wharf. 2 months of it. Heat, rain, insects, malaria. I'd gone clear in past the headwaters of the Orinoco, traveled through country where every step along the jungle trail might be the last one. Oh, Sanchez.
Si, Senor Warner.
You better start looking for a place to camp. It'll be dark in a little while.
Si, Senor. Very soon we turn to river. Camp on rocks by water. This very bad country.
This very bad country. You've been saying that for 10 days now. Very bad country.
Well, si, Senor Warner. This very bad country.
Yeah, we'll skip it. For all the luck we've had so far, it might as well be Central Park.
Central Park? I don't understand.
Oh, never mind. If we don't find something... Hey, what's the matter? Quiet now. Sanchez, what's wrong?
They're in the path. See? Bushmaster.
Bushmaster. The deadliest snake in the world. Bushmaster. Its Latin name was Lachesis muta. Mute fate. It lay there in the center of the path, a 10-foot length of silent death, coiled loosely in an undulant loop, ready to strike violently at the least movement. Here was the one snake that would go after any animal that walked, or any man. It lay there and watched us, not moving, not afraid, ready for anything. The splotch of its colors stood out like some horrible, gaudy floor mat lying there on the brown background of the jungle, waiting for someone to step on it. Here was what I'd come 2,000 miles for, a bushmaster. Sanchez! I didn't want that snake killed.
He no kill, Senor. He gone. Bushmaster very smart, very quick. Must always see a bullet in time to dodge.
Well, anyway, he's gone, and the only one we've seen in 5 weeks.
Oh, we find other. This very bad country.
Well, lay off that gun the next time. Don't shoot, you understand?
What are you saying, no shoot? You want Bushmaster?
Sure, but I want it alive.
Hombre Sacristo. Senor Warner, you tell me you want Bushmaster, but you no say alive.
You're getting $200 for it.
For dead man, what is $200? Tomorrow we go back to Caracas.
I'll make it 500, Sanchez.
I catch water snake, rattlesnake, any other kind. But I no catch Bushmaster.
Sanchez, I'll give you $1,000.
We go back to Caracas.
Well, it cost me 1,500 American dollars. But 3 days later, Sanchez brought me the snake in a rubber bag. He was shaking so hard, I thought for a moment the thing had struck him.
One thing you make sure, Senor Warner. No turn him loose in Venezuela. Because he know I the one who catch him. And he know where I live.
All right, Sanchez, I'll keep an eye on him.
Tambien, he know you pay me to catch him. All the time he watch and wait. You no forget that, Senor Warner. Because he no forget. Not ever.
After going through all that trouble and danger and laying out $1,500, I wasn't going to let a pig-headed ship captain stop me at the last minute. At least not as long as the cables were still in operation between La Guaira and New York. Morning, Captain Wood. The boy at the hotel said you wanted to see me.
That's right, Christopher. Sit down.
Thank you.
It seems you weren't willing to let matters stand the way we left them yesterday.
Well, sorry to go over your head, Captain Wood, but I had to. The museum sent me all the way down here for it. And I'm not going to be stopped by red tape. This will be the only live Bushmaster ever brought to the United States.
Yes, and if I had my way... well, orders are orders. I got a cable from the head office this morning. All right. I suppose we talk about precautions.
I'll handle it any way you say.
Got to have a stronger box. That crate's too flimsy.
Well, it's stronger than it looks. And that wire screen on top would hold a Wildcat. But anyway, I bought a heavy sea chest this morning. I will put the crate inside of it.
Sounds all right. You got a lock on it?
Heavy padlock. It's fixed so that the lid can be propped open a crack without unlocking it. The snake's got to have air.
But in dirty weather, that lid stays shut. I'll take no chances.
Fair enough.
I will keep the thing in my inside cabin where I sleep. I can't have it in the baggage room. And nobody on board's to know about it.
Whatever you say, Captain. But we won't have any trouble. After all, it's only an animal. It doesn't have any magical powers.
I saw a bushmaster in the zoo at Caracas once. Had it in a glass cage with double walls. It'd never move. Just lay there. Look at you as long as you were in sight. Gave a man the creeps.
I didn't know they had a bushmaster at the Caracas Zoo.
They don't. Now. Found the glass broken one morning and the snake gone. Night watchman was dead. They never found out what happened.
Well, the watchman must have broken the glass by accident some way.
The way they figured it, the glass was broken from the inside. Well, we sail in 4 hours.
We steamed north into the Caribbean with perfect weather and a sea as smooth as an inland lake. The barometer dropped a little on the third day, but cleared up overnight and left nothing worse than a heavy swell. But in spite of the calm seas and the pleasant weather, I found myself feeling more and more often an ominous foreboding. I was developing an almost unnatural fear of that snake. Well, I stayed clear of the passengers pretty much. Got the habit of dropping into Captain Wood's quarters several times a day. He kept the heavy box underneath his berth. I'd approach it quietly and shine my flashlight through the open crack. Never once could I catch that 12-foot devil asleep, or even excited. He'd be lying there, half coiled, his head raised a little, staring out of those beady black eyes, waiting. He'd still be like that when I'd turn away to leave. Maybe that's what bothered me, that horrible and constant watchful waiting. What in the name of heaven was he waiting for?
Well, hello there, Mr. Warner.
Oh, how are you, Mother Willis?
Aye, but you and the captain spend an awful lot of time around this cabin. I'm beginning to think the two of you must have some guilty secret.
Oh, no, nothing like that, Mother Willis. I don't know about Captain Wood, but I certainly don't have any guilty secret. Well, she's running quite a swell out there, Mr. Bowman.
Yeah, it's a little heavy, all right, Mr. Warner. Guess a storm passed through to the west of us yesterday when the glass dropped.
Think it missed us then, huh?
Yeah, that's what the mate figures. Sure stirred up some water, though.
This'll put half the passengers in their bunks.
Makes it great for my department. 2/3 of them will want a steward to hold their heads.
They'll keep Mother Willis so busy she'll have... Wait, look at the size of that wave.
Huh? Great Jehoshaphat. We're going to take it on the port bow. Hang on!
Well, that was a freak if there ever was one. Not another wave in sight.
You see them like that sometimes, even in a calm sea. Well, I got to get below, Mr. Warner. That water probably did some damage on the officer's deck.
Yeah, I suppose it... What did you say?
The wheel companionway was open on the port side. Bridge cabins must have taken a pretty bad smashing up. They're right below the, Here, is something wrong, Mr. Warner?
No, nothing at all, Mr. Bowman. At least I hope not. for Captain Wood and couldn't find him. Of course, I knew it was only one chance in 1,000, but the chances against that quick wave were 1 in 1,000, too. Well, I couldn't waste any more time, so I stumbled down the companionway and along the passage to the captain's cabin.
Oh, come on in, Mr. Warner.
Brother Willis.
Why, isn't this cabin a mess? Trying to get some of these things out to dry.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to check. Where's that box that was under the captain's bunk?
Threw it out on that, Miss.
But where? We didn't know. It was nearly dark when we met together again in the chart room.
I don't get the thing at all. No other way around it. We've risked all the time we can. We've got to warn the passengers.
How we do it, Captain? Call them all together in the lounge?
No, if we did anything like that, we'd be asking for a panic.
We'll get one whether we ask for it or not.
Pick a few men and go through the cabin decks. Tell them individually, inside their cabins. Watch for any act that looks as though it might cause trouble. And we'll keep an eye on them. Handle the crew the same way.
Right.
All right, Captain.
Okay.
Now, as soon as you've finished, arm all the deck officers and start searching again. Our only chance of preventing a riot is to find that damnable snake.
The slow nightmare that followed grew worse by the hour. None of us slept. All the ship's officers not on duty kept on with that endless search. Passengers locked themselves in their cabins or huddled together in the lounges, knowing all the time that no spot on board could be called safe. Fear was a heavy fog in the lungs of all of us, and every light on the vessel burned throughout the night. Morning came and brought no relief. Terror and tension mounted by the hour.
There now, Mrs. Crane, stop getting yourself all worked up and go back to your cabin. The horrid thing's probably crawled overboard anyway.
You're just saying that. You're paid to say it. You don't know. Nobody does.
Now, everything's going to be all right.
Oh, if you could only do something. If all of us could only get off the ship. They could fumigate it. Yes. That's what we've got to do. We've got to get off the ship.
Now, wait.
Mr. Bowman. Mr. Bowman, she's going to jump.
No, you don't, lady.
Let me go. Let me go.
Nice work.
Let me go.
Nice work, Mr. Bowman. Get her down to her cabin. Whatever you do, don't turn her loose.
Well, you never know when it might strike you. You can't put on a coat or move a chair without risking your life. Now, something's got to be done. It might be right here in this cell.
All right, Miss Steve. You better quiet down. Take it easy.
Take it easy, huh? Well, you're a great officer. Why don't you do something about it? That thing might be crawling around here right under our feet somewhere.
Like I said, shut up. Are you trying to start a panic?
I got a right to talk. I don't want to die. Nobody's going to tell me.
The second night passed, and morning came around again. A gray and rainy day, just as grim and tense, dragged past, and the night came down again. Third night of the terror. Again, every light burned, and the whole ship seethed in the throes of incipient panic. Faced by a horror they'd never met on the sea before, crew and officers alike were on the verge of revolt. Passengers sat huddled in a trance-like stupor, ready to scream at the slightest unknown sound. At 7 bells, I made my way forward to the chart room and found Captain Wood bent over a desk.
Hello, Christopher. Come on in. Sit down.
Well, it's got to be somewhere, Captain Wood. It's got to be.
I don't know. You could search this ship for 6 months and never touch all the places aboard. We can only hold out for 2 more days. We'll be in.
What's the Home Office say?
Oh, here's the latest wireless from them. Keep quiet and keep coming. What else can we do? How is it on the decks?
Pretty bad. Anything could happen.
Yeah. That's why I took the guns away from the men. One pistol shot and we'd have a riot on our hands.
Oh, the whole thing's my fault, Captain Wood. That's what I can't forget.
Oh, take it easy, Ben.
There was only some way I could pay for it myself, alone.
No, I know how you feel, but it's no more your fault than mine. The man who asked you to bring the snake back alive. Nobody planned this. You'd better try and get a little sleep.
Sleep?
Mr. Bowman made some coffee down in the steward's galley a while ago. You better go down and get yourself a cup. And then rest up for a couple of hours.
Rest? I can't rest.
Christopher, it's no good going. What are you going to do? You can't help anything if you stumble through a hatch half asleep and break your neck. Go on and get some coffee. One way or another, we've got to hold out for 2 more days.
The light was on in the the steward's galley, and the coffee pot was standing on the stove. It was still warm, so I didn't bother to heat it. I poured out a cup, carried it over, and set it on the porcelain tabletop in the center of the room. I started to light a cigarette. The door of the pan cupboard beneath the sink was standing slightly ajar, and I happened to glance down toward it. Out from the dark interior of the cupboard shone two glittering points of light 2 inches apart. I dropped the cigarette and moved slowly backward. I'd found the Bushmaster. As I moved, the snake slid out of the cupboard in a single sinuous glide and drew back into a loose coil on the galley floor, never taking his eyes off me. I moved slowly back, waiting any moment for that deadly slithering strike. How had he known it was me? He'd stayed quiet when Bowman was here. How did he know to pick the first time in 3 days when I didn't have a gun? Well, my hands touched the wall behind me and I stopped. Only then I realized in terror what I'd done. The call button and the door were on the far side of the room. I'd backed into a dead end. I stared at the snake in fascination, expecting any moment the ripping slash of those poison fangs. The horrid coils tightened a little, and then were still again. 10 million years of evolution to produce this moment. Homo sapiens versus Lachesis muta. Man against mute fate. And all the odds were on fate. I knew then that I was going to die. I could feel the sweat run down between the painted wall and the palms of my hands pressed against it. My skin crawled and twitched. And the pit of my stomach was as cold as ice. There was no sound but the rush of blood in my ears. The snake shifted again, drawing into a tighter coil. Always tighter. Why the devil didn't he get it over with? And then, for just an instant, his head veered away. Something moved over by the stove. I didn't dare turn to look at it. Slowly, it moved out into my line of vision. There was a cat. That scrawny cat Clara that Mother Willis had sneaked aboard in La Guaira. Its back was arched and every hair stood on end. It moved stiff-legged now, walking in a half circle around the snake. The Bushmaster shifted slowly and kept watching the cat. He tightened. He was going to strike at any second. He struck and missed. The cat was barely out of reach. Now she was walking back and forth again. She was asking to die. Missed again, by a fraction of an inch. He was striking now without even going to a full coil. Missed. Again and again. Always missing by the barest margin. Each time the cat danced barely out of reach, and each time she countered with one precise spat of a dainty paw, bracing her skinny frame on 3 stiff legs. And then suddenly I realized what she was doing. The Bushmaster was tiring, and one strike was just an instant slow. But in that split second, sharp claws raked across the evil head and ripped out both of the lidless eyes. That cat had deliberately blinded the snake. Well, he didn't bother to coil now, but slid after her in a fury, striking wildly and rapidly, always missing, and every strike was a little slower than the last one. Until finally, as the snake's neck stretched out at the end of a strike, the cat made one leap and sank her razor-sharp teeth just back of the ugly head, sank them in until they crunched bone. With tooth and claw she clung as the monstrous snake flailed and lashed on the floor, striving to get those hideous coils around her, trying to break her holds, to shake off the slow and certain paralyzing death that gradually crept over them and at last stilled his struggle forever. I took a deep breath. And first in minutes. The cat lay on her side on the floor, panting, resting from the fight just over. And she had a right to rest. That mangy, brave, beautiful alley cat had just saved my life. And maybe others as well. But as I turned toward the stove, I suddenly became very humble. And I knew all at once what a small thing a human being really is. I and others aboard were still alive only by the merest accident. There were 3 reasons why that cat had fought and killed the world's deadliest snake. And those 3 reasons came tottering out from under the stove on shaky little legs. 3 kittens with their eyes bright with wonder and their tails stiff as pokers. Up on the decks, hundreds of passengers were waiting for the news that the days and nights of terror were ended. Well, I could wait a little longer. I pulled open the doors of the cabinet, found a can of milk. And then I dropped down on my knees on the floor of the galley.
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and tonight brought you A Shipment of Mute Fate by Martin Storm, adapted for radio by Les Crutchfield, with Jack Webb as Chris Warner, Raymond Lawrence as Captain Wood, and D.J. Thompson as Mother Willis. The special musical score was conceived and conducted by Cy Pure. Next week,
at this same time, when you're tired from a hard day at the office, or leaning over a hot stove all day, when you want to get away from it all, CBS again offers you Escape.
Good night, then, until this same time next week, when CBS again brings you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Wheat Chex, Rice Chex, and Good Hot Ralston present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! In today's transcribed adventure, Buzz and Happy have made another visit to the mysterious Planet X. They have just landed in a robot ship, hoping to thwart an attempt to obtain Space Patrol's secrets. As two men in work clothes approach the ship, Buzz and Happy wait, with ray guns drawn.
Keep behind the bulkhead until we find out whether they're friendly or not. Yes, sir. Quiet now. They're at the outer hatch. Don't move, Happy.
Use your gas gun, Malengo.
Commander, I can't see.
Now right into my trap, Corey. This is your last trip to Planet X.
We'll return in just a moment with today's exciting Space Patrol adventure, The Trap on Planet X. Hi, Space Patrollers. This is Captain Dick Tufeld speaking. Say, how's your space talk these days? Are you talking like a real space patroller? Well, here's some space talk that'll make your friends sit right up and listen. Fire rockets. Now, fire rockets means to turn on the motor or get ready to go, as in, come on, gang, fire rockets. It's time to go. And here's another way of saying something in space talk. Blast off. Blast off means to take off or leave. You blast off for a game of ball. Blast off to meet a pal. Now, here's space talk you hear space patrollers use every morning. Get supercharged. Now, to get supercharged means to get some zip and wham so you can be a winner. And, gang, here's how you do it. Just have yourself a power breakfast with the super cereals, Rice Chex, or Wheat Chex. Best tasting cereals from here to the moon. So, Space Patrollers, get supercharged. Fire rockets, blast off, and I mean to your grocers for Rice Chex and Wheat Chex. And remember, inside every package, you get a mysterious magic space picture. And now, today's Space Patrol adventure, The Trap on Planet X. Commander Corey is facing the greatest problem of his career. His archenemy, Prince Baccarati, has established an empire on Planet X, a strange world, far beyond the solar system, where no planets were thought to exist. Fortified by almost impregnable detection and defense systems built by the evil scientific genius Dr. Malengro, Baccarati planned to launch an attack against the United Planets. Buzz and Happy dealt the Prince a temporary setback, but the actual fate of Baccarati and Malengro still is in doubt. Buzz realizes the criminal leaders from the self-styled Prince assembled on Planet X may continue Baccarati's plans for enslavement and conquest. Now, in his central office on Terra, Buzz reviews his strategy with Cadet Happy.
At this stage of the game, Happy, Baccarati's forces hold the trump cards. The Space Patrol couldn't get within 1 million DUs of Planet X without being discovered.
Well, with Baccarati himself out of the way, sir, maybe his men will give up this idea of conquering the United Planet.
Trouble is, we don't know for certain whether Baccarati is out of the way. All we know is that he turned his plastic gun on Malengo and himself and plunged down into the river at the base of his castle.
I don't see how they could help being drowned, even if the fall didn't hurt them.
We don't know what effect that plastic gun has. It coats its victim with a shell of plastic. We saw that. But it makes the victim temporarily helpless. At the same time, it might protect him.
Yeah, that's right. Well, still, I'd hate to be in that fix. Floating down a river on Planet X, unable to swim. And remember those monsters we saw in the jungle. There's no telling what's in that river.
Even leaving Baccarati out of it, a full-scale attack on Planet X wouldn't be a wise solution. Baccarati has abducted hundreds of innocent people from the United Planet. He's forcing them to work for him. That's the chief reason we can't risk an all-out attack.
How are we going to save them?
That's problem number one. It's not a job for a space fleet. A few men infiltrating into Baccarati's stronghold is the only answer. Into the slave camps in the north, into the castle, into his plants.
That isn't going to be easy.
No. And once they're in, they'll be useless unless we can communicate with our forces on the outside.
Well, I'd like to take another crack at it, sir.
So would I. But it's something we can't rush into, Happy. One wrong move could cost the lives of innocent people. I want to have a talk with Lieutenant Simmons and then outline a plan of action.
Meanwhile, billions of miles away on Planet X, a strange creature stands on the bank of a river and peers intently at two figures stiffly floating downstream. The man on the riverbank is huge, nearly 7 feet tall, and his rugged frame is loosely draped with the skin of an animal. To this primitive native of Planet X, the figures in the water are objects of wonder. Slowly, his lips move in response to the thought that forms in his not-too-active brain.
Sky men. Sky men.
The next instant, the native plunges into the water. Skymen, the men who arrived many seasons ago in great monsters, men with powerful weapons, men who built huts of stone that towered into the mists. But why were these two skymen floating down the river, so strangely stiff and still? The native swims toward them, then, one at a time, tows them to shallow water, and one under each powerful arm, he carries them up on the bank. The men seem coated with something shiny and hard and transparent. But as the native watches in surprise, the shiny covering cracks and falls away. The men move. The native steps back, half frightened, half curious. And one of the skymen speaks.
Well, are you all right?
Yes, Your Highness. But I don't like the looks of that native.
Don't worry. I got my plastic gun ready. I can turn him into a 7-foot statue if he starts anything. But don't show any fear. Remember, we are superior beings.
Are you sure there's enough plastic left in the gun to cover a man of that size?
Keep quiet. Let me do the talking. You there. What's your name?
I, Goro.
We're in luck, Malengo. For a minute I was afraid he was one of those wild ones that our men had been taught to speak English. Goro. I'm the chief of the Skymen, Prince Baccarati.
Goro, kneel before your prince. He is your chief.
Chief.
All right, Goro. You may rise.
Skymen live in air and in water?
We are all powerful, Goro. The Skymen can do anything.
Skymen all powerful.
Send him away, Your Highness. Let's get back up the river to the castle. We may need him. We may run into some unfriendly natives, and Goro will contend it.
Yes, you're right, Your Highness.
Goro, you come with me. Your chief will give you fine clothes like these. You will eat the food of the Skymen. And Goro will become all-powerful like the Skymen.
Goro eat food of Skymen?
Of course. And everyone will say, there is Goro, honor guard of Prince Baccarati. Come, Goro. Lead the way to my castle.
I obey, Chief.
Come on, Malengo.
Your Highness, do you think Corey could get away from the castle?
I doubt it. When we get back, we'll put some pressure on the commander. He can tell us many things that will help further my plans for conquering the universe. The fools! The stupid fools!
What's the trouble, Your Highness?
Those guards, they let Corey and the cadet get away. What? Yes. They got back through the jungle to their ship and blasted off.
That means he'll be back with a fleet of ships.
Corey's too smart to try that. He knows we could destroy every ship he sends against us.
But if he thinks we were drowned when we jumped into the river, won't he assume your empire will fall apart?
Now, Corey doesn't jump to conclusions. He'll try something, that's certain. Now, if we could only force his hand. Get him back here. Alone. Oh, by the way, Malengo, how's Dr. Rainey coming along with that brainograph?
I'll check right after we get back to the castle, Your Highness. He hasn't quite finished it yet.
Well, can't you hurry him up?
He's resisting our persuasive methods. He keeps falling unconscious from pain.
Stubborn fool. Once we get that brainograph working, we can take all these captured scientists and technicians and find out exactly what the Space Patrol has to use against us. Every fact these men know will be revealed by the brain.
We can break Dr. Rainey down, but it will take a little more time.
How I'd like to use that brainograph on Corey. Then we know every weapon, every plan the United Planets could bring against us.
Yes, Your Highness. But Corey isn't here. He's probably back on Terra.
Well, we'll bring him here. I've got just the plan. I'll need a special robot ship and your help, Malengo.
Back at Space Patrol headquarters on Terra, the Spaceophone monitoring section has picked up a strange message, repeated over and over. Within a few moments, the message is piped into Commander Corey's office as Buzz and Happy listen intently.
I warn you, the plan will be dangerous, but it is the only way to penetrate Prince Baccarati's defenses. This is the voice of Professor Ramey speaking from a continuous recording tape on board a Baccarati robot patrol ship. The message will be repeated in just a moment.
Smoking rockets, Baccarati captured Professor Rainey, too.
Outstanding brainograph expert.
Oh, gee, if Baccarati gets the brainograph...
At least I'm glad to hear the professor's alive. The report was that he crashed on Neptune.
That's the 9th top scientist Baccarati was...
Space Patrol
Hold
Unit.
it, Happy. The message is...
The United Planets are in danger. This is Professor Bernard Ramey of the Space Patrol Electronics Bureau. I am held captive by Prince Baccarati on a planet far beyond the solar system. No ship can approach this planet without being detected by Baccarati's defense system.
You can say that again.
Only Baccarati's own ships can penetrate the electronic shield. I have succeeded in hiding the recording device in this ship, which is of class G, type R134. A ship of this type could get through the electronic field if it emits a steady signal on a frequency of 231.6 megacycles. I warn you, the plan will be dangerous.
Cut it off, Happy.
But it is the only way...
So that's the key to the shield. A signal at 231.6 megacycles.
I wonder what happens if you're off the beam a few cycles.
The ship is destroyed, probably. Well, it looks as though Professor Ramey has given us the chance we were waiting for. Yes, Happy. Call Space Patrol Operations. Order a Class G, Type R134 robot spaceship with auxiliary controls. We're blasting off the planet. I've picked up a robot ship on the viewscope, Your Highness.
Is it one of ours?
It looks like it. But all of ours are accounted for.
Well, but then Corey fell for it. He thought that was Professor Ramey's voice.
The brainograph should be ready in a few hours, Your Highness.
Oh, Ramey finally cracked, eh?
No, but our engineers figure they'll be able to complete the brainograph now with no further help from the professor.
Excellent. Now, Malengo, we'll just wait patiently until Corey enters our...
Well, I guess we've fooled Baccarati so far, Commander. At least he hasn't hurled any meteors at our robot.
Well, we're safe from meteors now, Happy. We're too close to the planet.
There's Baccarati's castle in the viewscope, Commander.
All right, Happy. Cut on the special frequency.
Yes, sir.
Make sure it's exactly 231.6 megacycles.
Oh, I have it tuned in exactly, sir. That's it, sir.
In a few seconds, we'll know whether it gets us through the electronic shield.
It worked, sir.
Keep away from the viewports, Happy. We're coming in for a landing. Now we'll wait here in the ship till it gets dark. And we'll make an attempt to get inside the castle.
Suppose someone comes out to inspect the ship.
Yeah. 2 men are coming toward the ship now.
In work clothes.
Whether they're friendly or not, it's a break. You can borrow their clothes. Keep behind the bulkhead until they're well inside the ship. Have your ray gun ready. Yes, Captain. Quiet now, Hap.
Use your gas gun, Malenko. Quickly. It's Baccarati.
Let him have it, Hap.
I can't see. Can't either. Grab the cadet, Malenko.
Got him, Your Highness.
I'll take that ray gun, Corey. You might as well stop struggling, Corey. That toxic gas made you as weak as a kitten.
Where is Professor Ramey?
Oh, don't try to talk, Commander. Unless you're wearing gas masks. Like Dr. Malenko and myself, you'll only suffer all the more from the toxic gas.
For your information, Commander, that wasn't Professor Ramey's voice you heard. It was mine. A good impersonation, don't you think?
That's right, Corey. The professor was busy completing a brain event. And we are going to use it on you to find out all the Space Patrol secrets.
After you recover from the toxic gas, of course.
Yes, you can recuperate in the dungeon, Corey. And just wait till you see your guard. He's a nice little fellow named Goro. You'll be safe with Goro. Very safe.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment. Say, gang, what kind of fuel are you filling up with at breakfast? Ordinary fuel? Well, I hope not. Because remember, in the morning, you haven't had anything to eat for hours. That means your fuel tank needs super fuel, like Rice Chex and Wheat Chex, those super cereals. A good Chex breakfast, and boy, you're supercharged. You feel like a million, rugged as Buzz Corey himself. Your motor kicks over, your rockets start roaring, your atomolites start blinking, and man, that's it. You take off, and I mean you take off like nobody's business. And say, gang, with Chex, you've got a couple of cereals that taste terrific, and both have that modern bite-sized design for eating that's easy and fun. That's Chex for you. Easy eating, good eating. So remember, gang, when you pull up to your breakfast table, it's just like pulling up to a filling station. You're there for fuel, super fuel. So tomorrow morning, say to your mom, fill her up, Mom, Chex. Yes, get 'em today, gang. Chex, rice or wheat. And remember, inside of every package, you get a mysterious magic space picture. And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, The Trap on Planet X. Simulating the voice of the captured scientist, Prince Baccarati's henchman, Dr. Malenko, has tricked Commander Corey and Cadet Happy into returning to Planet X. The Space Patrolmen passed safely through the deadly electronic shield over the castle by means of a secret frequency on their robot spaceship transmitter. But after landing, Buzz and Happy were captured by Baccarati and Malenko. Right now, they're locked in a cell in the castle dungeon with a huge native Goro standing guard outside.
Doesn't look very bright. I can't always tell by appearances. I wonder if he realizes that Baccarati is making slaves out of some of the other natives, his own people.
Good point. Let's see, what's his name? Goro, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Goro. Goro, I'd like to talk to you a minute.
What you want?
I'm your friend. I want to help you, Goro.
Skyman Chief, friend. You not friend.
Skyman Chief?
Baccarati. Goro, listen. This fellow you call Skyman Chief is Prince Baccarati. He's making slaves of your people. He makes them work underground in the mines. You understand?
Skyman Chief give Goro food. Chief friend, you bad. Goro no.
Goro, if you'll help us out of here, we'll see that you get better food than Baccarati ever gave you.
Skyman Chief, all powerful. You not powerful. How can you give food?
I've got a point. There's no fool, Happy. Just can't think of it ahead of the next meal.
Speaking of food, I wish Baccarati would show up with some chow. Hey, I just remembered. I think it's here in my jacket pocket.
What?
Some space rations. Yeah, I've got a bar of ration G here. Baccarati missed it when he frisked me.
Take off a small piece of the paper.
Yes, sir.
Here you are, Goro. Taste it.
That's not food. Goro man, not small bird.
Go on, reach your hand to the bar. Just try it.
Goro, try.
Oh, look at the size of that hand. It'll barely go through the bars.
Good. Good.
Like it, Goro?
Goro want more.
Commander, look out. He's trying to grab you.
More food. More food.
Hold on, Goro. Take it easy. Open the door and let us out. You can have the whole bar.
More food.
You understand? Open the door.
More.
Goro, wait a minute. Be quiet.
Hey, He really goes for it, but he's so excited he's nearly out of his mind. Doesn't know how to open the door, Happy. Not with the regular controls, anyway. Put the Nathan bar on the floor near the back of the cell, but where Goro can see it. I'll come over here by the door.
More!
Goro, hold it. Listen to me.
More food!
Now, there's your food back there. We want you to have it. Just open the door. Pull on the bars. Bend the bars. Put your hands on them and pull. Harder, Goro. That's it. Oh, he's bending them. You're getting it, Goro. There goes the door. And here comes Goro. Come on, Hap, let's go.
Goro like he's better than Skyman treatment. Oh, Skyman, Goro.
Down this corner, Happy, for the stairs. I only find Dr. Roddy before a guard finds her. How many more flights is it to the tower, sir? Take a look at that door, right? Quickly. Put your hand over his mouth, Happy. Yep. Now let's get him in here. I've got his gun, Happy. And let go of him. Yes, sir.
Corey, how did you get out of that cell?
Never mind the landing. Where's Dr. Roddy? Come on, where is he?
He's up in the tower.
Alone? Tell me the truth, Malengo.
He's with some engineers.
How about Professor Raymond? Where's he got him?
Down at the end of the hall, locked in another room.
All right, get in. Lead the way and don't try anything.
This is it.
Unlock the door. Shut the door, Happy, and keep the Malengo covered. Yes, sir. Professor Rainey. Malengo, what have you done for him?
Dr. Riley was a little rough with him. He wrecked the brain again. Months of work ruined.
The professor's coming too, sir. Professor? Quick, Commander, Malengo's getting away. Get him, Happy. Yes, sir. Well, that takes care of him.
Good.
Professor Rainey.
It won't do you any good, Dr. Riley. Commander Corey.
Yes.
Dr. Potty's been forcing me to fill the brain again. When I heard he tricked you into coming here, I left.
Yes, I know. Professor, we haven't much time. We've got to get out of here. Can you walk?
I think so.
Dr. Roddy gave you quite a beating. Do you know of any places where they could get a ship?
Roddy's spaceship factory.
That's too far away.
Besides, it has an electronic shield around it, too.
Well, at least once we get out of the castle...
Wait a minute. There's a robot testing field on the other side of the valley.
Does it have an electronic shield over it?
Not ordinarily. One can be set up if strange ships are sighted in the region of the planet. Ordinarily, it's kept open for tests.
Can you show us how to get out of the castle?
The gates have electronic locks. Only Baccarotti's men have keys.
Malengo must have one. Search him, Pepper. Yes, sir. Professor, how far is it across the valley to the testing field?
I don't know exactly. Around 5 miles, I think.
Do you feel strong enough to make it?
I think I can make it, Commander.
Then come on. We'll tie Malengo up and gag him so he can't come to and solve
What happened to you? Where's the professor? Just a minute. Hold still till I get the gag out of your mouth and untie you. Corey did it. He caught me in the hall. Corey! How do you think you're out of the dungeon? Never mind. Where's Professor Rainey? I don't know. The cadet knocked me out. When I came to, I was tied up. He's escaped, Joan. I can see that. We'll have the castle searched from tower to the dungeon. We'll send guards outside the castle. You and I will lead the search from the air. Come on, man.
The test port is right up ahead, sir. You can see a ship through the trees. Hold it, Happy. Don't let everyone see you. We're almost there, Professor.
Got to stop a moment.
That's all right. Take your breath. We may have to make a rush for a ship. I don't see anyone at this side of the field, Commander. There's some men working on a ship about 300 yards down to the right there. We can't afford to make a mistake now. Commander, those aren't all robot patrol ships. Some of them are battle cruisers. You're right, Hap.
These are what Baccarati is turning out at his factory several hundred miles from here. They must have been brought here for a test.
They're as big as our space patrol battle cruisers. From their looks, they could make a good account of themselves. They've all got the black Falcon painted on them. Baccarati's insignia.
So they're here for a test, huh? All right, let's test one. Ready, Professor Ramey?
Yes, Commander.
Let's make a rush for the nearest one. Come on.
The velocity down, Malengo. Remember, this is a spaceship, and Corey is on foot.
I'm trying to cover as much ground as possible, Your Highness. If we circle the castle several times, we can pick them up in the ground skin.
Where could they have gone? They're not in the castle. No one saw them go through the gate.
Look, over there at the test.
I see it. It's one of my new battle cruisers taking off.
Why, Your Highness? They just arrived today from your plant to the north. Weren't your orders to the test that they were to be grounded until you inspect them tomorrow?
Huh? Yeah, that's right. Well, wait till we locate Corey. Then I'll find out where that upstart pilot is. Look at my ship, Malengo. 2 complete squadrons lined up.
They are quite beautiful, Your Highness.
Yes. After months of planning, they're almost ready. Ready to make a surprise attack on the space patrol. If the test is successful tomorrow, I'll give the command to wipe out Jupiter.
Look at that ship circling back over the field.
With the big Jupiter base out of the battle, I can conquer the outer planets. What's happening over there?
Explosion at the test port. One of your ships blew up on the ground.
My ship! Malengo, what's happening? That pilot, that crazy pilot, he's strafing my ship with a space cannon. Hurry! Malengo is Corey in that ship. Get him! After him! That's the command!
Your Highness, the scouts are unarmed.
My fleet! Look at my fleet destroyed! Call the tower! Reach the electronic shield! Call the tower! And the necklace! This was the gas!
Well, I think that does it, sir.
Everything in the test field, at any rate. That's what the infrared viewscope shows.
It'll take Baccarati months to build another.
Happy, keep at low altitude till we get to the opposite side of Planet X, then blast off into space. And that way we can dodge any of Baccarati's defense rays.
Yes, sir. You've given Prince Baccarati a severe setback, Commander.
Yeah.
And with one of his own ships.
A setback isn't enough, gentlemen. As long as Planet X is a menace to freedom-loving people anywhere in the universe, then Prince Baccarati can count on meeting me again.
A preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure follows in just a moment. Gang, this is Captain Dick Tufeld at an aqua jet boat race on Mars. My favorite's the Shooting Star. But hey, it doesn't have a chance. The driver is filling up the tank with ordinary fuel. You see what I mean? No zip, no zoom, no zing. Hey, but wait. Now the driver's putting in some super fuel. Wow, look at the Shooting Star go. It's bound to be a winner now because she's supercharged. Supercharged with super fuel. Now, you want to be a winner too, don't you, gang? Then remember, ordinary fuel, ordinary start. Super fuel, super start. So don't wait. Get supercharged. And I mean get supercharged the way Buzz Corey does. Eat a power breakfast with Rice Chex. Flavor, man, and bite size. Crisp, triple toasted shredded rice biscuits. That's Rice Chex. And inside every package, you get a mysterious magic space picture. And now, a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Buzz and Happy are trying to make their way through a strange valley filled with weird and poisonous plants. Suddenly, Happy trips and falls.
Commander, something's got my foot. It's the vines. They're growing tight like ropes. Winding around me, too. I can't get them untangled. Maybe we can cut them loose. Yeah. Hey, it's grabbed my arm. I can't move. And the leaves have got suckers on them. Hap, we've got to get loose. These vines are man-eaters.
Be sure to join us again next week for the thrilling story, The Valley of Dread, when Wheat Chex, Rice Chex, and Good Hot Wilson again present Space Patrol! Special bulletin for boys and girls in Cleveland, Ohio, and Rochester, New York. Buzz Corey's own space battle cruiser, the Ralston Rocket, will be in your area next week. Don't miss it. The Ralston Rocket. Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Mike Devery. Other players were Baylor Kovach, Ken Mayer, and Norman Jolly. Dick Tufeld speaking. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday and every Saturday when Wheat Chex, Rice Chex, and Good Hot Wilson again present Space Patrol! Be sure to see another exciting Space Patrol story on your local ABC television station. Consult your local paper for time and channel. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.